Welcome to Self-Perfected.
What's up,
Or
everyone?
like, ooh,
What's
that
up?
sounds like live.
Here we go.
Alive.
Yeah. So we bring you this special episode on the heels of.
You know what's weird though? It's like there's nothing to talk about, guys. Maybe we should just not even do it today.
Okay, so thank you for
Okay,
tuning
bye
in.
everyone.
It's weird. Like what?
I'm gonna go build a chicken coop.
Hey, did anything weird happen yesterday?
I didn't think it was yesterday. Wasn't it this morning?
I went to an event yesterday.
Don't tell me it was a rally.
It
Dude,
was a
no, but
lot-
seriously, the most important thing that happened yesterday, I really am glad we're going to talk about it. I saw
Yeah.
this video with Jordan Peterson talking about what he actually believes, but not actually.
Oh,
I actually saw
really?
a thumbnail
What does
for
he
that.
believe?
I saw
What does
that
he
thumbnail
believe?
and I was like, don't care.
Dude, also though,
Dude,
what's
Jordan
weird is the
Peterson
guy
is
talking
wrong.
to him is that guy from that debate we talked about.
So okay.
How
So
come all of a
that's-
sudden I'm like, what the fuck, man?
Wait, what? Which debate?
It's
Which
the way the
debate?
algorithm works, man.
So,
Between the
Tim-
Christian and the other guy saying there was a resurgence of belief in God, we talked about it last time.
Oh yeah.
That guy who was like the atheist guy is like interviewing Jordan Peterson and asking him about his beliefs. So it's really weird.
I'll pull up that clip. I'll pull up that clip because I think it's funny actually. But do we want to lead with
I think we got to lead with the other breaking news besides Jordan Peterson.
so I had a
Oh,
great
the Novak Djokovic story where he was at Wimbledon and talking shit to the crowd.
No, I didn't hear about that. Tell me.
Oh yeah, he was just basically people were being disrespectful and he was just like fuck you basically.
Why? Because he was the
Because
guy who
he
didn't
was
get the
like
vaccine.
Right. He's like the #1 tennis player, and he's just like, fuck you, I'm not taking the vaccine. And all the brainwashed masses are like booing him and stuff. And
wow.
Really?
because
Wow.
he's in
I guess I'm
England.
not
He's at Wimbledon, right? So
So the ultimate wolf. Wow.
You know what? I guess you don't have to put that on the that doesn't I guess it doesn't matter that it's not on the what's it called?
What?
The on the playlist. Because I
What,
was
the
gonna
Wimbledon
see if
thing?
I could find it real quick on the playlist.
Oh,
But
it's not even worth watching.
Oh well.
It was just probably the most important thing that happened yesterday.
Hey,
Other
well,
than
I
Edward
see. I see. There's a Donald Trump bobblehead behind you, though, Drake. What's that
Yeah.
about? You stand in solidarity with him because
Oh,
you know he almost
yeah.
just
ever
almost got
since
killed?
ever since they attempted his life.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went out and got that last night, just a bobblehead.
Ah. So
was
when did this actually happen? Was it yesterday evening? I didn't. Or is
Yeah, it was like around 5:30 p.m.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Drake has the fucking details.
Damn.
I mean, that's the
'Cause
first that I
yeah.
saw like of it like
Oh.
breaking at all.
Oh, yeah, that's
I know
crazy.
because Mayor messaged me, and then I got a call from Avery.
Well, I saw Mayor's message and I was like, what? Like, because like Mayor's message, when I read it, I was like, oh, I gotta look at this thing. And I thought it was worse than it was.
Right. That's like when Avery called me, he was like, he's been shot. And I was like, well, I was like, I'm looking at the thing. I think he's okay. And he's like, really? How do you know? And I'm like, I'm looking at the thing right now.
So-
Like someone told me he was shot. And I'm like, right, that's the consequence of going, somebody was shot, instead
Right.
of being like explaining the whole thing. Although the opposite side of it is like the media going, Trump falls down after
Right.
incident at the
sounds.
rally,
After
right? After
popping
loud
sounds.
popping sounds, after
I'm
someone
like-
was popping popcorn, and you're like, what?
Trump fall
Damn.
down after popping sounds.
Dude, I have a whole
This
rabbit hole
is-
conspiracy. I've already developed the conspiracy.
Okay.
All right,
I
all
wanna
right.
hear
That's why
Cameron's
you woke
conspiracy
up this morning, Mitch.
first. Now,
Just
let's
to
hear the
hear.
fact. Yeah. Okay.
So
Okay.
let's
hear
start
it.
with let's just start with there was a rally and shots were fired. You can see in the video, if you just go look it up, you can see Trump is like he's turned to the side and then he like something
hold on,
hits
hold
his
on.
ear.
First of all, I've done the full analysis.
Oh, okay, all right.
Okay,
No,
so I just wanna-
don't tell
Hold on.
tell me this. Like
I'm just saying, like you're accurate, but like I'm watching the thing, dude. This is, and I'm saying this because I want everyone to see like how. That's why I sent you that text that said the system works in mysterious ways.
Uh-huh.
right? Because there was some prophet like 3 months ago that said he had a vision that Trump was gonna like there was gonna be an assassination attempt. The bullet was gonna go past his ear and like blow out his eardrum and like
Yeah.
this all this stuff, right? Of course, there may be somebody else being like a bomb was dropped on him, and like their vision, and so they do not care about that one, right?
Right.
But anyways, but the system works in mysterious ways because now everyone's like, I saw this picture. I should have sent it to you. It was like a picture of Jesus and like, or sorry, a picture of Trump and Jesus was behind him, like with his hands on his shoulders.
Like,
Right?
Oh,
like,
yeah.
like Neo, like deflected.
Oh, and the thing about, dude, I
I'm
can just
trying
see
to-
where it's all. I can see where it's all going right now, dude.
Okay. So for anyone who
Uh,
doesn't know, right? There's a Trump rally in Pennsylvania. Apparently last night, someone tried to shoot Trump. Apparently, and it went.
There was a
in
Trump
human
rally
ear.
allegedly.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
I don't know. Yeah, Biden clearly has those big rallies. Trump, I don't know, but apparently he was shot. in
Trump
the ear.
falls down after loud noises at a small gathering.
There you go.
And no one was wearing
A small
masks.
gathering of friends.
And it was dangerous, yeah, because they weren't wearing their proper COVID protection equipment. So that's all I know. And then apparently they shot the guy or whoever the person was.
Okay, so already everyone is like saying, number one, the election's over, Trump's gonna win.
Yeah.
It's like done at this point. That's like the attitude, right? Second of all, it's divine intervention. Okay,
What do you mean
that
by
clip I
divine
sent you got. I'll explain. That clip I sent you from the prophet who was giving his vision, like psychic prophet, whatever guy. He was saying in his vision, Trump, almost gets shot. He drops to the ground and prays to Jesus, and like he becomes super Christian after the fact.
Oh, supercharged
Christian, right? So and then already the effect system wise is everyone is going like God has his back, right? Because I'll explain why. Because I'm watching the videos, dude, like not just like in real time, but like going back and watching everything, and there's more videos coming. It's okay. I was telling this to Avery last night when I called him. I was like, do you remember how like you questioned 9/11 years later?
Yeah.
This is like you're questioning 9/11 the day it's happening, and everyone's
hour
questioning
later.
it. Everyone's seeing it. It's all on video. All the details are on video. You can see the plane taking off on video. You can see the people going through the airport security on video, and real. I mean, like everything
Sure.
could be debunked in real time.
Yeah.
And I'll go through a couple of points, but there was this one point where if you watch it, and you kind of put all the information together, there's one picture a New York Times photographer apparently took, and you can see one of the bullets, like, because it's, it's going very fast. So the camera captures like a stream, how like if you move your hand in a panorama or whatever,
Yeah.
it like looks long, right? You can see one like the trail of it, like right here, like whizzing by his head. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So number one, number two, if you watch the video, he's talking, and then there's also some like I didn't know he does this, but these big projector boards where he had like graphs about immigration. So he's talking about immigration, and I don't know if he was looking at it or the teleprompter or what, but you know what I'm talking about, Drake? They have these big boards, and they're like,
No,
putting
I hadn't
information,
seen
like
that.
almost like a PowerPoint type presentation, but they're massive. So I don't know if he was looking at that or he was looking at the teleprompter, but he goes like this, and then he puts his hand to his ear. Okay?
Right. Yeah. Can I just
And if you
play
look,
the video? Let me just watch the
but
video.
no, I don't want to play it on here. People can go look at all of it, right? But like the point is the bullet's coming this way, so it's not like it hits him and then he turns his head. Like he turned his head,
Yeah.
and the bullet went like, it's like you can see the blood on his face going this way.
Mhm.
Right? Okay, so you can see the blood here, and you can see streaks this way, meaning he wasn't shot. What am I trying to say? Like he turned his head, and then the bullets whizzed past him. They were coming from that direction, the direction in which he turned his head.
Yeah.
Like the Matrix. Like literally the bullets are coming and you moved out of the way. Okay.
Yeah.
And so this is part of the divine intervention story, is like literally, for whatever reason, he like moved his head at the moment the fucking bullet was flying by. Because obviously some went by, and the one that was going to hit him, that actually hit him, like he moved his head. I mean, I can't say 100%, but if you look at it, I mean, it's like 99%. That's obviously what happened. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
kind of looking at it all. Okay, so that's the divine intervention angle. Okay, is that like they tried to take him out, God won't let him die, right? God has a plan. Maybe God does have a plan. What?
I was just gonna say, there's been, people have been making these pictures of Jesus behind Trump for years since he became president.
But now it's like the overcharged version of it.
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's
That
like
is-
the
they call
overcharged,
it
like,
OP.
okay.
Gen Z calls this OP for overpower.
It's like, something happened yesterday. It kind of reminded me, it probably won't make sense yet, but I'll explain. Like, the kids were playing, and I was like standing up and I was doing something, and Caius threw a piece of clay, right, across the room. And I looked up and I caught it like right in midair, like that, right? And all the kids
Yeah.
like kind of looked at me, right?
Yeah.
And it reminded me of this time when I was in high school, and we were it was like our freshman orientation. I went to this private school, and there's the kids who just like fuck around and do stupid shit, right? And for whatever reason, they were doing this like stupid like miniature pep rally with the cheerleaders, like in this little theater. And I don't know why, dude. It's a private school. They do weird shit. They were like throwing out corn. I can't explain it. I don't remember why this was happening. It was like corn on the cob. Okay. I don't remember why. For some reason, they were throwing corn on the cob to us. Okay. Don't question it. But anyways, then the dean of students came up on the stage and was talking to us. He's like a very serious guy. And somebody threw the corn, right, at the stage. I don't know why. And he dodged it and like grabbed it out of midair. And we were just like, oh shit. Right. And then he was like, you. And we were like, oh fuck. Right. So it was just one of those moments where you're like, how the fuck did that just happen? Right.
Yeah.
So, anyways, that's kind of like, I think, gonna play into the system of like Trump is the divine fucking. And think about this in the context of what we were just talking about the other week. There's this rebirth in the belief in God, Christianity, right. Russell Brand, Candace Owens, all these different points.
Yeah.
Like, I just want everybody to see this is how the fucking system works. It's at a level you don't even fucking understand. It's like resonance. It's like we're all creating this story through all of our fucked up vocabulary, and it has a physical effect in reality. This is what's going on, right? Anyway, so there's other points I want to bring in we can talk about later, but I'll let you guys share what you.
So he basically got shot in the ear. Did his ear get blown off?
No, his ear is still intact
so.
for mostly. Like you can see in the pictures, it's just like really bloodied. And it looks like what Cam was saying, like he just
it looks like he turned his head, it hit part of his ear, streaked his face.
Yeah.
Like it's not like he smeared his face with his fingers. It's like obviously like two lines.
But that could also have been from like when he dropped to the ground, like the blood dripping.
That's possible. That is possible. Yeah.
That's what I was thinking.
I don't know.
So someone
that's what I was thinking it was, because like
possible. That is possible. Again, that's what I'm saying. I'm not certain that exactly, but clearly he turned his head. Yeah. Otherwise he would have got shot. Because if you look at where the apparent guy was, it was like this direction.
Yeah. And then like you hear it's interesting because I originally just watched it without the sound because Hazel was nearby, and I was just like, well, let me see what happened. And then this morning I watched it with the sound, and hearing like the screaming and the shrieking and all that, it's just like, oh shit. And you can hear like the Secret Service like, get down, and it's just so interesting because there's already like the conspiracy theories going around of like this is staged, or who's the guy that got shot that actually died. Because maybe
it was definitely staged.
It was on a stage
to a certain degree. It was on a stage, but it was definitely staged to a certain degree. I mean, somebody deliberately did that.
Yeah, of course.
I don't think that it was set up by Trump.
Like Trump.
Right.
Too much of it looks very real.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, you have AI video. It's like, yeah.
There's already things coming out about like, the shooter on the roof, like how was he able to be on the roof so close by?
I've seen more actual videos of what happened in that moment.
Yeah.
Than I ever saw of what happened on October whatever it was.
7th.
Yeah. I never saw any fucking videos.
Right. Yeah.
I just hear stories.
Which I think it was just recently this week they had a statement come out of the Hannibal Directive from some Israeli publishing, whatever.
Haaretz, yeah, it's
a
pro-Israel, Israeli newspaper.
Right. So if you don't know what that is, it's basically Israel has a policy that if they have people who are taken captive by
Are going to be taken captive.
by some enemy or whatever. Their directive is, well, it's okay, just kill everybody, including our own soldiers. And
Like it'd be better to kill the soldiers who are potentially, like, in other words, let's say the enemies come and they're about to capture these people. It'd be okay just to bomb everybody and kill everybody, than rather
Right.
than let them take any captives.
Right. So basically,
Pretty
their
brutal.
whole, it's a scorched earth type of deal, like collateral damage is fine.
It's definitely not a people who would lie about things like the Holocaust type of thing.
right.
It's not that level of ruthlessness.
What about it though? Like they're initiate, like they've
It's just been
agreed
exposed that they have this policy.
Oh, that they
and
already have.
that
Okay,
it was
got
implemented in at least 3 places on October 7th.
Oh, I
So-
didn't know that. It's good.
Yeah, so that was basically the reporting on that was like
Wow.
it would be like this. It would be like you're upset that some of your chickens got taken hostage or something like that. You're really upset about this, and you're like, I'm mad at all my neighbors for taking my chickens. I did everything to protect them, and then it comes out that like, hey, Mitch, you actually killed a lot of your own chickens, and you're like,
I'm acting like I'm so enraged that people have taken hostages, and that's why
Yeah.
I'm doing all of this, killing like 15,000 civilians. But in fact, I also killed some of my own people to not allow hostages to be taken. Like,
right,
so just go
Wow.
bomb the fucking hostages now. Then what are you waiting for? Like,
Right.
what's the big deal here exactly?
exactly.
Wow,
Um,
that's wild.
Yeah, so I guess that's a little bit off topic from the Trump thing, but basically, just going back. But that was the point. Was like everything we're seeing now today about Trump is just like boom, 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 boom. Like it's all there, and maybe you could say it's fortuitous that there's cameras on him and everything, sure, but like
But I mean, what else do you expect?
Yeah.
You're at a rally. I mean, there's going to be
Right.
video.
right,
It's better to see the reality of it.
right, than hear a story, which is what
Right.
we saw on October.
Well,
7th.
like one of the
Like,
stories was right away, people going like, "Oh, those didn't sound like any gunshots I ever heard," like trying to undermine that there was actual, because, okay, what does the people who like Trump want to use this story to do?
they want to say there was an attack on his life, and so look, obviously they want to take him out because they know he's going to win.
Yes,
Yeah.
but also it makes him look like what,
A martyr,
or like a badass, actually,
a badass too. Yeah.
right? You know what I mean? Like, dude, you survived getting shot at. It makes you seem like fucking powerful. Like that's the guy I want.
like
in
you're
the
larger
country,
than
right?
life.
Yeah.
Right. So they're like, number one, I think it was maybe like a BB gun or like a air rifle, a pellet gun. I'm like, dude, I have a pellet gun. They don't sound like any kind of a gun.
Well,
They're like, somebody said it was either a 22 or a pellet rifle. I'm like, those two things are different things.
yeah.
That's like saying I either shouted or whispered. It's like, they're not the same.
yeah.
It was either shouting or whispering. It's like, no, you can't do both.
So when I saw the video, because again, I watched it without the sound, but when I
Right.
saw the video and I saw Trump do this, like
Right.
flinch, like I was like, that can't be a bullet. Like
Because what actually happened was he went like this,
Yeah.
and then he's flinching because he's like,
Yeah.
oh, I got shot. Because at first, you're not going to realize what's going on.
right.
But yeah, no, it's fine.
But
I'm saying people
thought-
were
like,
actually saying, like, I actually saw people on Twitter saying,
yeah, I saw it.
but saying that they didn't sound.
Right.
And I watched video, and I was looking at this point of like, okay, how many people have ever actually heard a real gunshot up close?
I don't think a
Very
lot.
few.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where have they heard gunshots?
Like in a range,
Or
or on a
ranger like
movie.
hunting.
No, most people have never been hunting or been to a gun range.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So where have they heard
So
gunshots?
in a movie then. on
Just a
TV.
movie, and those aren't
Yeah.
even real sounds. They're
Yeah, like
pretend sound effects.
the sound for like a
Right,
silencer is
movies.
like pew pew pew.
That'd be like if I punched you on video and someone was like, that wasn't a real punch because it didn't sound like a punch. It would have been like,
Yeah.
you're like, that's not how punches sound in real life.
Yeah.
Like they don't sound like in a movie. That's not how it sounds, actually.
Right.
So people have a distorted perception of reality because they're saying what I heard doesn't match up with my virtual reality version of what I think a gunshot sounds like.
Mhm.
And I'm like,
Right.
dude, I remember
was
on
it-
July 4th in the morning, we were like, dude, who's shooting off guns? And Katie was like, oh, maybe that's actually people just doing fireworks early. We kind of listened to it and we are like, No, I think those are guns. It's like it's not always obvious, you know, because
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
far away, whatever. Like it was 150 yards away.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's not going to sound super fucking loud. Like there's plenty of times where I go out to our little gun range, which is probably, I mean, a good couple hundred yards away from the house at least. I mean, I
Yeah,
don't know exactly, but it's pretty far away from the house, but not like crazy far.
yeah.
And it's obviously not pointing towards the house, just so in case anyone's concerned. But when I go out there, I'll shoot. I'll tell Katie I'm going to go out there, but then I'll come back and I'll be like, "Could you hear me?" I've asked her several times because I was curious because they'd be outside. And I'm like, "Could you hear it?" And she'd be like, "No," or they
Hmm.
didn't even notice. You know what I mean? And I'd be like
Yeah.
shooting at like a 12 gauge and like in a 308 or something. Like sometimes they'll hear it, but like so. In other words, it's just going based off of what you think you heard.
Mhm.
But my point was, why would you say, "Oh, it was just a 22 or an air rifle or a pellet gun"?
To
Yeah.
try and downplay it or
Why
make it look like he couldn't have actually died from it or something.
Right. Like, oh, you're not really like you got shot at. It's almost like making you seem weak by being shot at
Yeah.
because it wasn't even a big thing
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like
and you
Especially,
survived, but
still
so
got
you weren't
shot.
really that big of a deal, but you still got shot at, so you're a loser. It was like it's like this you can see how that wording where it makes it seem like and
Yeah.
then the
Mhm.
other one I heard was it kept going around was Pennsylvania State Police are saying that he was hit in the ear by glass from the podium because he got shot, which
Mm.
again I think is like this, which you look into it and like that was apparently never said. I mean, I haven't seen anyone other than people saying it was said,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then
yeah.
people are looking at pictures of the video and they're like, I can see the podiums right there, like,
Yeah, the glasses
and
and
they're also in front of him
yeah,
and they're angled towards him, so it would have had to gone,
around
it
his
would have
head.
had to hit it and then the glass shot out at his ear and like it doesn't even make sense logically if you really kind of think about it in terms of where everything was at, but it's another way of being like, oh, your boy's not that tough. Come on. It was just glass
Yeah.
that hit him. Like as if that kind of in any way makes
And
anything
and then
different,
there's all the other forces of just add confusion to it, right? To just make everyone
Right.
not trust anything even more.
But it's like
Now,
we definitely don't want him to seem like he just survived getting shot. Like,
Yeah.
right,
but again, is it people coordinating that propaganda or is it just like the mind trying, to fight for like dominance?
right.
Yeah.
So was the dude on a roof the one who shot at him?
So there's apparently it looks like there was two shooters at least, right?
I haven't seen that.
No? I saw there was someone on a roof, right? And then it looked like there was somebody who was being escorted out
That was somebody
from
who got shot in the crowd. It was like
Oh, okay,
behind him.
okay.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it seemed like
Well,
they were
that would
saying
indicate that there was actually shots,
Yeah,
it's
no,
Man.
somebody got killed. There
Fucking
was an
sad,
interview with
but
a guy who was a doctor there, an emergency doctor, supporter, who went and tried to do CPR on the guy. He said there was like brain matter, like the guy got shot in the head. So
Yeah.
somebody, from what I can tell, looking at all the misinformation and everything and putting it together, it was very clearly there was a guy on a roof. You look at that, actually, maybe pull that up. This is the important thing, right?
the guy on the roof.
Well, yeah, I don't want to play the videos of any like gory shit just because it could just get flagged and take it down. That'd be stupid.
Sure.
But people can go look it up easily. You can go and look at pictures of the fucking dude's head and face who was the shooter apparently dead. Like so, if you want to go look that up, you can see it,
Oh, I
which
didn't
is
see
crazy.
that.
Yeah, I mean it's crazy. Right. So yeah, the diagram where people are showing like the field and so forth and like the arrows and all that.
Yeah.
It's funny because when you sent me that video of like the contradiction in the Bible, I was like this morning or whatever, and that it's like a diagram and it's like from Nazareth to Bethlehem. I'm
Oh
like,
yeah,
is this
yeah,
like
yeah,
it's like looks just like they're like trying to show the diagrams of like where the shooter was at and all this.
Right. Let me see.
you
Pennsylvania.
also see too how it's another giant fear impulse of like, hey, if you even step up,
Oh, just look up Trump shooter diagram. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, it'll probably pop up. Yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
it's like another impulse too from the system of like, hey, if you stand up, there could be some guy on a roof.
Okay, but here's how I look at it, right? They're gonna try to kill you and they can't. Don't worry about it.
They're gonna try and kill me. What?
They're gonna try and kill you, sure. Yes. It's not gonna work. They can't.
Let's go. Invincible.
That's what I'm saying. Like
Eternal.
literally, I remember years ago, back
This
when
is
Trump was
the-
running the first time, somebody rushed the stage with a knife, and it freaked me out. Like watching, I was watching the rally in real time. It freaked me out.
Oops.
This time, even when I heard that he got shot, and I thought maybe he actually got shot, I was like, okay. There's no fear.
He
So
gets up
yeah.
and does that.
So look,
Wow.
So here's the shooter back here on the red dot. Here's Trump here. Explain how he hit a teleprompter in front of Trump and that put glass. So that's just stupid. Anyways, so here's
Wow,
the thing.
that's really close.
It's
actually.
140 meters is not really that far. And then the other thing too, I'll just say this real quick. Actually, just remind me when we're done with this part to talk about the AR platform thing.
Okay.
Well, go back real quick to that. I
Oh.
wanted to show something.
Okay.
It's fine.
There we go.
Like, there's a lot of people saying what I'm about to say, but this was the most obvious thing that I realized too. My point just being like, you don't have to be a fucking expert to realize this next obvious point.
Oh no. No.
Fuck you, GB News. Okay.
What the hell? Oh, there it is.
Okay.
Ah.
Heads up, it's gonna play again on the right.
So got this field here. That's where the crowd was, right? And then obviously there's these buildings behind Trump, right? Now, let me ask you guys a question. If you're the security planner for this event, and you're thinking, there's this guy who's the presidential candidate. People are saying he's going to be assassinated. It's a pretty obvious threat. People hate him. They think he's Hitler. Like, you know all this. You're not like in the dark about obviously the reality of Trump and the fact that he's a former president. And you're looking at this. Where are you thinking a possible person might, try to shoot him from?
1 + 1 is 3.
I mean, what about this big giant group of buildings over here on the left?
No.
Do you think possibly somebody might try to climb up on one of those roofs and try to shoot him? Don't you think I mean, is it likely? No. Is it a possibility?
It'd probably be from
like,
from the
wouldn't you have
trees.
someone, maybe 4 people, 5, 10, 1 even, standing over on these roofs, looking around? No. Why would you do that?
Yeah. That seems like a waste.
And then, now go to the video of, maybe I can see if I can find it, but maybe, well, I'll leave it. There's a video of, it doesn't show any actual violence, just there's a video of the snipers on the roof behind Trump.
Okay.
See if you can just look that up.
Not that.
Keep going down.
This.
Yeah, click on that one, and then let's just skip forward. Let's find the. Keep going.
No,
They're probably not. Keep going.
No, it's.
Hold on.
Oh, here we go.
Oh, there you go. Just leave it there. Okay. So I watched the whole video. You can go look at this for yourself. You watch it all happening, in real time, meaning on the video. And you see the point where Trump turns his head. You see the part where he grabs his ear. You see the part where he goes down to the ground. So you can see the point at which the shooting was happening towards Trump. See where the snipers are pointed right now?
Yeah.
There's a sniper there, and then there's like the guy on the bottom who's his spotter. You can't really see him. He's kind of like behind him on the ground, or behind him laying on the roof. Right now, and the whole time in the video, before Trump gets shot, and during, and after, they are pointed in that exact direction. And even before he gets shot, the sniper is pointing in that direction, looking down his scope.
What?
Like, for moments before Trump gets shot. Okay. Now, I'm not trying to say like this sniper deliberately lets Trump get shot. It may have just been confusing. I don't know, dude. Like, you would think the purpose of having a fucking sniper on a roof is that you're looking for people who are gonna shoot somebody. Like, that's the fucking point of what you're doing. Okay.
Right.
It's not like, well, he wasn't sure. Like, there's a guy with a rifle laying on a roof pointing it towards the president. Wouldn't all the snipers be pointing away? Why would there be any sniper? I mean, I don't know. Maybe I guess there'd be some pointing towards the crowd or something. Or I don't see why there'd be one pointing at the president. Like, maybe.
Yeah. Or perhaps, or maybe they're like, hey, who is that on the building? And there's confusion. And so they're
sure.
Like, that would be the only
way. But like, I don't know how to explain it. Like,
there's an interview with the guy. He's like, we were just walking up and we could see this guy like Crawling
several
onto
people
it.
now. I've seen several, at least two. Maybe there was a third one. I can't. I feel like there was two different ones. I saw one last night, and I saw one this morning, and I think I saw another one, but it might have been the same guy. I can't remember. So at least two people with the same story, being
Yeah.
like, we were seeing a guy on the roof with a rifle. We were shouting at the police. There's even video of people going like, "There's someone on the roof. There's someone on the roof." Like,
Yeah.
and like they're
Like-
not doing anything about it. The guy, you could just be like, well, in that moment of confusion, the snipers didn't know. I understand that, but how do you get on the fucking roof? How was that
Right.
not like
Blockaded
apparently there was Trump supporters even near that building.
Yeah.
So that means there was potential shooters, just even the Trump supporters, because you don't know who they are,
Right.
over there. Like, and they weren't even like checking that roof, watching it, monitoring it. And then you say, well, they were because the sniper saw him. How were they able to shoot him so fast?
Yeah.
Like it was like if you watch, I mean, in the video, I can't see what he fires. I see the moment he goes off the scope and like pulls his rifle back, maybe because he's not sure if there's going to be return fire or whatever. But it's like clearly, like on the one hand, it's impressive because they got him as soon as the shooting started. But then you're like, but how did they not get him before? Like it's
Okay.
so fucking weird.
So I need to
okay?
hear your conspiracy. So are we saying this is
You can
a
close it.
are we saying this is a JFK type of like you fire then we fire on you type of thing? Or
I mean,
like,
if you're assuming already that it was like some kind of an inside job thing,
yeah.
the guy is firing, they kill him.
Yeah.
Assuming that they got the shot. Like, okay, he fires, Trump goes down, they shoot him. Like, now, could the sniper have even known any of that? I mean, they have communication. I don't know. Like, it could have just been like real quick reactions. They're just firing back. Like, I don't know. Like, I wasn't there. I'm not in the fucking conspiracy.
Yeah.
But when you put all the points together, it's like, why wasn't there anyone? Like, isn't this, when you think Secret Service, don't you think the most advanced security you can possibly have?
Yeah.
Yes, but after watching some of those videos that you sent this morning,
With like all the women surrounding the car and can't put their
Yeah.
whole gun in the, I'm like,
Oh.
dude, what the fuck?
I'm like, okay,
That's
all right.
crazy.
So
if I was a multi-billionaire and I hired a security company and then like 5 women show up who are shorter than me, I'm like,
you're fired. You're fucking fired.
I want
like,
my money back.
Are you fucking kidding me? Like, is this a fucking joke to you? Like, no, I don't. I was telling Christine this morning, I'm like, okay, so the head of Secret Service says she's trying to get more diversity into Secret Service and she wants 30% women by 2030. I'm like, fuck that. Like, I don't know any person with any amount of money who would say, yeah, I want my personal bodyguard, 30% of them, I want them to be women. Like, no fucking way.
Why do they need to be women? How about blind test? Wear all black clothing like ninja style. I can't see what they look like. Put muscular pads so I can't tell if they're men or women.
Right.
Okay, have them fight.
Yeah.
And then like whoever wins, I want those people on my team. Okay, and then they have to
Exactly.
fight each other and like to the death. And then those are the people I want. I don't care if they're men or women. Whoever fucking can survive. Okay, like that, like you know what I mean? No, 30% need to be what kind of fucking
It doesn't make
like when
any
you go
fucking
eat at a restaurant, do you go, this food is delicious, but how many of the chefs are women? Like, who cares?
Yeah, I was telling Christine, I'm like, okay, I mean, if I don't see any reason why I would want a woman other than like maybe she can like has a really good mind for like putting things together and she can see like the bigger picture and she can direct people really well. Like maybe in that context, like I would want her because of her mind is like it's like she's
But it would
the
still
most
just be
amazing
like
person.
meritocracy. You
But,
would
like-
want the person who's most able.
Yeah, but like standing next to me, I don't give a fuck. I don't want her. I don't care. Like she could be butch as fuck. I don't give a fuck. I don't want her near me.
Even in the context of what I said, I was joking. I wouldn't want to.
Exactly.
Like, let me ask you a question, guys,
Yeah.
fellas. You're all married. I'm not just talking to you guys. I'm just saying out the hypothetical fellas out there, right? Who are married. Does your wife ever get a period?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Don't they seem like a kind of different person for a little bit?
Yes.
Doesn't it just seem like, why the fuck are you like being so? And then they're like, I'm on my period, and you're like, oh.
Does it seem
Okay,
like they're,
Look,
like, a
I'm
little
not making
trigger
fun of
happy?
women. I'm not. It's a necessary part of the like developmental maturational point or not natural, you know what I mean, like to have kids. Okay,
It's essential for life. Yes.
I'm not sitting here like,
This category.
it's just like that is a reality.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So isn't it possible that could ever, like, how are you going to have a Secret Service person where they have to go through this rigorous training and then a big chunk of each month they had going through mood swings hormonally? You know what I mean? Like, it's just, why wouldn't you just want a straight up fucking killer? Like, why wouldn't you want like a machine, like a fucking robot that all he thinks about is like, I have to protect the president, you know? And like,
That's exactly
and
what I
like
want.
fire's like happening and he's like, where is the shooter? I will eliminate him. Like, he doesn't give a fuck. He's not like, oh shit, oh, it's happening, oh no. It's like, no, that's not what you want in this situation.
I'm just thinking in the context of like, if I were Trump, Trump's a billionaire, right? If I were Trump, if I were anybody with like, that amount of money, and I'm hiring someone to protect me, I don't see any single person making the decision, or any single company even, who is like, I'm promoting to these wealthy billionaires and such that I'm going to protect them. I don't see any of them, not one, going, and we have a full staff of women, or like even
Yeah.
30%. No, can only be possible with the stupid fucking like government hire. Like, what the fuck is that?
No, yeah,
You know?
total just government. Like, we're allowed to just say nonsense
Yeah.
and bullshit and like
Has
fucking DEI. Also, the other thing too is like the mindset of the DEI point
yeah,
of we need 30% women is the same mindset that's like trans women are women.
right.
And like also believes you can't define what a woman is. Like,
Right.
it's the same mindset. It may not be the exact same person, but it's the same general sphere of philosophy that says we need to have so many women, but also you can't say what a woman is, and women is whatever you want it to be, and it's defined by the person. So it's total nonsense. It's just total but it
think.
really is exactly. It's just double think. It's like 1 plus what is it? 2 plus 2 is 5. It's
Yeah.
like we can say whatever the fuck we want. It doesn't make sense. It's all about our feelings. Because at the end of the day, the only reason you care about it being 30% women is so you can feel like, wow, I've done something. Now, the
Right.
something is not real, but you're like, I've accomplished it. And it's like, you know what it is? It's like everybody wants to feel like they're Martin Luther King Jr. Everybody wants to feel like you fucking did some great thing for civil rights. Like,
Right,
I
right.
became the director of Secret Service and I was able to achieve 30% staff women, like you're fucking Rosa Parks or some shit.
It's like, it should really show how delusional our government is, because not only do we have, like the really obvious point of, okay, nobody wants women to be their bodyguards, right? Like, especially if you're protecting the most
We want to
important
guard their
person.
bodies.
but this is supposed to be the most important person. Like, forget
Right, I know.
about anything else. The most important person in the entire United States, right? Or even in the world, you could say.
Right, but Drake, if you apply logic like that, you are applying logic, and then you have to like question all of it. You have to question all of it, though.
And you do have to question all of it.
This is no, hold on. Here's the part where you can't do that, because it's like, hey, if we can make these decisions based on DEI, even for the most important person, we're serious that we believe this shit.
Right.
But if we go, well, okay, but in this actual case where it matters, we have to be realistic. Right. It's like you kind of like
admitting the whole thing.
Right, exactly. So you have to like, no, I got to double down and like.
I wonder if they would apply to like police forces, like firefighters at a local level too. Because like for the president, it's like, kind of out there, but firefighter, that's like your local community, right? Your house could be burning down, and you have like your kids in there, and so
but also,
like, well, it's more close to home to the person.
Yeah, I okay. Again, I don't know any, sane thinking person who would be like, I want my firefighters to be women, because they're not going to be able to carry any bodies out,
Exactly. Yeah.
So it's like, are you like, and we don't vote for firefighters, but like, I would have some serious questions about who is making the hiring decisions here. That she is my chief firefighter here,
Well, yeah, it's really interesting. There's a concept called skin in the game. I mean, we've all heard that idea, but the guy who wrote the book Anti-Fragile, it's another book that he wrote. And to put it succinctly, it's like a huge problem our world faces is where you have like these, for example, the bankers, giving out those shit mortgages back in 2008. They had no skin in the game, and they were basically able to just get out, right? And there's like minimal penalty for them. Whereas like to the average person who got fucked over by it, they actually had like quote unquote skin in the game because they lost their home, couldn't, put food on the table, had all that stress was transferred to them. It's like reminds me of Destiny too, of how the elite could accumulate consequence and then distribute it throughout the
Right.
system versus having to face themselves. So in a very similar way, it's like these people who are these woke leaders who are like, oh no, we need a certain amount of, people of a certain race or a certain amount of women here. It's like they don't actually have skin in the game. Versus that's why I was bringing up, like, let's say it's their local firefighter of their local fucking township, right, or their city. It's like where there is more skin in the game, except their house is fucking burning down. They're like, I want to make sure the shit works.
Well, it's like
You know?
it's like the rich people in Hollywood or something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where they don't want the homeless people like fucking living next to their mansions. So, but
Right.
they'll act like, oh, we gotta.
So I mean, because we talked about this, I think it was during the Trump Biden debate. We talked about how, like Biden is like the greatest teacher ever, right? Right now,
Yeah.
where he's on the stage, you can see he's clearly not there. Like that's very obvious. We didn't talk about it, but over the next week, he did an interview where he's like, "I just had a bad day." But when you're watching that interview, it's like, bro,
Same.
you're still
And-
the same.
And then
You're
dude.
not
did you see the
helping.
thing
You're not
too,
coming
where he-
across
where-
any better at this moment.
So we're supposed to believe he's totally fine in all of this, but then also totally not realize that they just tried to fucking assassinate Trump.
Right. Right.
Like,
Well,
oh
and-
no, that was just some random dude. Oh, real quick, who tried to kill JFK according to the official story?
According to the official story, I don't even know what the official
that
story
one
is.
dude.
Like,
Harry,
like some
Harry
communist
Oswald.
sympathizer.
Yeah,
some
whatever.
some communist sympathizer, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And then they're already doing it now, where they're going like, oh yeah, he was some Antifa communist.
right.
It's like, wow, it's the same story, dude.
But
Oh,
I was seeing this thing because Candace has been putting out some like really interesting videos lately, and one of the things that she's been talking about constantly is this book Chaos, right? And she's saying how even they mention in that book about JFK and the assassination attempt, and apparently the guy who was who shot JFK, they had basically put him on a cocktail of drugs and MK Ultra'd him or whatever, so that he could just have this break and then shoot. And the guy who shot that guy, she said that there's like documentation from the judge going like, wait a minute, I was just talking to this guy the other day. He was sane, right? And today, like he's pleading insanity. What's going on? Right. And she's
Which
she was-
guy?
the guy who shot Harry Oswald, Harry whatever. Is that his
Lee
name?
Harvey Oswald.
Lee Harvey, yeah, whatever it is.
Some shit like that.
Yeah, I'm like Avery right now. Just
The thing.
the,
You're like, oh, I know.
Bettis, Patrick Davis. Anyway, all right, yeah, Lee Harvey Oswald. That's his name. But yeah, the guy who shot him, yeah, apparently was something happened to him mentally where he had like a psychotic break or whatever and could no longer be tried as a criminal or whatever. I'm just saying that because there's so many factors that we don't know about. Like, why was this guy allowed on the roof? Why was he allowed to even get off a shot? Like, if this is a former president, you're supposed to be protected by the CIA or the Secret Service. Why is the
No,
Secret
yeah, the
Service?
CIA is the one who does the shooting. Jake.
I understand that.
The Secret Service's job is to protect the president from the CIA. Yes, we know.
But then the Secret Service is like, who the fuck put this woman in charge of the Secret Service? Like, seriously.
Okay, just from the DEI point, do you think she votes that she likes Trump?
No, obviously not.
No fucking way, dude.
No way. Like, obviously.
Like, okay, I'm just saying Secret Service members should be tortured to the point of almost death in their qualification process to show that they have no political bias.
I mean,
Otherwise, how can you trust a Secret Service agent that like they're going to
Exactly.
protect the president if they don't like him, if they actually believe he's Hitler? Oh no, but they're above and beyond the Call of Duty and all this bullshit. I'm like,
but how do
right.
you separate that even? Like, you know, like that's like a
And then you put a
personal
bunch of women in
bias.
there.
Yeah, right. There's a personal bias that you have inside of you. Oh, and this woman, she went and marched in this whatever fucking rally. Like, it's absolutely insane. But it shows us at every level, especially like you're just looking at the government, it shows you how the mind works. It shows you like really clearly, like, okay, no one's in charge, and everyone's just going along with it. The whole country is just going along with it. And not only that, there is all these stupid policies that clearly make everything worse. I was just thinking when I was saying no one's in charge, because somebody had brought up this point, and I think it was on Candace again, but of like who's running the country. That's what it was. Because that whole Michaela Peterson, Jordan Peterson back and forth. So what's related to it is somebody had asked the question, who's running the country after the Biden-Trump debate, and seeing Biden like, whoa, oh, okay, like, oh, all of a sudden they just woke up, right?
Like who's actually, yeah, okay.
And someone had replied to that with the Jews. And then they had like a whole, like attached to that was a whole list of all the Jews in Biden's cabinet, right? And so Michaela Peterson was basically saying like, whoa, this is anti-Semitic. I'm seeing just rampant anti-Semitism all over.
How is that anti-Semitic?
Well, you're saying the Jews run media.
But that'd be like if somebody said like
Cameron. We had a whole.
If somebody said like, "Hey, who
the Holocaust
who owns the car dealership down the road?" and you were like, "Oh, some Jews named Goldstein," and you're like, "Whoa!" You're like, "I'm just answering your question."
Did you forget the rules of anti-Semitism? That's anti-Semitic hate speech. What you're doing right now. You can't say that Jews are in power. That's anti-Semitic. Okay, you can't say they are, you know, in positions of power or they run media or anything like that. Like that's, you know, this.
See, here's the thing. I can say it because I'm not blaming.
So
I agree. If you're just in blame, then yeah, it's invalid.
There's no cause for blame clause. I mean, for blame, it just says if you say it, that's anti-Semitic. You know. So sorry, Michaela Peterson is right. She is actually correct on this one. But anyway, that's how that whole beef started.
Was there a clause in her marriage contract that said she could just like fucking live her own best life and divorce her husband even if she has a small kid?
I don't think there was a clause for that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Again, if Jordan Peterson had just tugged on that leg a little longer when she went for that plant.
If he would have just said no.
When she was like about to sign the divorce papers, if he'd have been like, no.
Yeah. She would know that some negative consequence would happen if she continued doing that.
How is she going to be a famous podcaster with a small child if she has a husband, guys?
Yeah.
Like, think about the logic of
it. Who's watching that child when she's podcasting? I'm just curious.
Probably the dad, I guess. I don't
know. What is happening? Michaela Peterson has got a divorce.
Mitch, have you not been watching the podcasts that we do?
We do it every fucking week, Mitch.
No, see, this is the thing. When you have to go, this is when we talk about the real shit.
Like Michaela Peterson apparently got a divorce. I'm still trying to make sense of this.
Oh yeah, that's a while back though.
Oh, to live her best life.
I'm just connecting dots and
I see.
Talking shit.
Okay.
Yeah, like what Christine said in the chat. Old news.
Well, yeah, because I was gonna say in other news, what we didn't hit on as well is Biden this week apparently at the G20 summit or whatever summit, G7, one of them, called Zelensky Putin, and then called Kamala Harris Vice President Trump.
I did see that. I did see that.
Just in case you thought he wasn't mentally there, you got more evidence.
Yeah.
Hey, another thing, I noticed this weird speech pattern he has where he always goes, the idea. Do you notice that? Like if you watch the debate.
I haven't watched enough. Oh, yeah, where he's kind of like pretending to take offense.
Yeah, exactly. It's like he's like trying to be dramatic. He's like, the idea that you would do that. And then he did it again in his response about the Trump shooting. he was like, I forget what, I don't remember what exactly he said, but he did it again. I was like, what the hell?
Yeah. It's funny.
just weird.
No, I didn't see that, his response to the Trump shooting. I didn't see that at all. I'm
Dude,
kind of
it was
upset that I
so
didn't see
obvious. Let's just play it. That's a good
it.
one.
We can play that one?
Because I have a good comment about this.
Okay, all right.
Let me just pre-frame it, okay? Robert Cialdini style.
Okay.
When you listen to it, does it seem like he's basically saying, I'm probably going to go back to bed after this, and so I don't know if I'll be able to give any updates. Just okay, now listen. I'm telling you, when you listen to it now, you're gonna be like, "Holy shit, that's actually what he's saying."
Hang on. All right,
Wow.
let me make sure it's
Wow.
optimized. This is the first one that came up.
Thanks for coming, folks. I've been
Oh, let's
thoroughly
go back.
briefed by-
Look at the shoes. He's
What
got
are
his
his shoes?
Skechers on.
Thanks for coming.
Oh, you can't
folks.
see it because the banner's
Yeah,
there.
yeah,
I've
because
been
the
thoroughly
banner.
briefed by all the agencies in the federal government as to the situation, based on what we know now. I have tried to get a hold of Donald. He's with his doctors. Apparently he's doing well. I plan on talking to them shortly, I hope, when I get back to the telephone. Look, there's no place in America.
Wait. When he gets back to the telephone.
Do you notice how it's like he was about to start rambling, and when he's about to start rambling and he catches himself, he always goes, "Look." So you go and watch, you see this
that's
pattern.
his trigger.
It's like, look. He's like trying to like get back on track. He's like, look.
When I get back to the telephone.
He's very obvious, like, yeah.
Them shortly, I hope, when I get back to the telephone. Look, there's no place in America for this kind of violence. It's sick. It's sick. It's one of the reasons why we have to unite this country. We cannot allow for this to be happening. We cannot be like this. We cannot condone this. And I want to thank the Secret Service and all the agencies, including the state agencies, that have been engaged in making sure that the people and we have more detail to come relative to other people maybe injured in the audience. I don't have all that detail. We'll make that available to you. I may be able to come back a little later tonight, but we'll put out a statement if I'm not able to if it's not convenient for you all. But the bottom line is that the Trump rally.
You hear it?
Back
You heard it, right?
Today.
Or, maybe I won't, but if it's not convenient for you, what do you mean? These people's job, they're like staying up all for the next 72 hours, just like if it's not convenient for them. I'm like, what?
A little later tonight.
You know what I'm saying? No, to me, that just
I
sounds
might
like he was
not.
like, yeah, I'm probably going to go back to bed.
Have a good night, everybody. Yeah, that's interesting.
Dude, play that clip I sent you this morning, that short. I think it was a YouTube short of him when he was like in 1979 or something.
Oh yeah. Okay, hang on. Oh
This is
man.
really crazy. This is really crazy.
Now listen to what he says here.
Wait, back.
Damn fools in the Congress and the Senate and those who want to get there, but there's no way you can legislate against that.
Right, but you think in the long run that the American people are going to put up with their money being squandered on all sorts of wild political notions?
The question is, how long is the American public going to put up with a small group of men and organizations determining the political process by deciding who can run and who can't run?
But Senator, aren't you a living example?
I am an anachronism. I'm a 29-year-old oddball. The only reason I was able to raise the money is I was able to have a national constituency to run for office. There are an awful lot of.
Who is that young guy? He seems really.
I know, but I thought it was very interesting though, the point of like how long people are going to put up with a small group of men and organizations deciding who can and can't run. It's literally what he's fucking participating in right now.
Yeah.
To the point where, somebody, the other day I was looking into, I think you and I talked about this, Rick. I talked with somebody about this point of, oh yeah, it was you and I, because we were going to get hot pot and we were talking about it. I was watching a video. It was that guy talking about World War II and the Nazis, and like it was breaking down one of the Hitler speeches. Remember? and it was like he was kind of stopping it and like
yeah,
giving
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
context and all this
Yeah,
stuff, and it just got me thinking because he was kind of like basically
It was as
Germany,
if the only history that you've ever learned was in history class.
like just what was in the textbooks in history
whatever was in the
class. So
textbooks,
that
that's
was
it.
his.
Yeah,
But the point was like, yeah, Hitler was able to rise to power because of the consequences of World War One. But it was really Germany's fault, World War One, because they did all
right,
this stupid shit and tried to take everybody over.
right.
And I was like, okay, what actually was the cause of World War One?
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
like
yeah.
we're all looking at World War Two, and it's like, what actually was going on there? And it's kind of fucking weird, dude. Like, I was watching a couple of videos, but like one of them was like, Europe was the height of civilization. Everything was fucking awesome. Everybody was getting along. There was no hint of any kind of wars happening. It was all awesome. But then also over here, like Austria was trying to take this part over here that was like the former Ottoman Empire, and like Serbia didn't like that, and it was like this kind of weird thing going on over here. But everybody was just having a great time and getting along, and everything was so great. But then this little tiny thing over here happens, and then suddenly like everyone's like trying to like steal everybody's land and invade everybody and go crazy and fucking chemical warfare each other. I'm like, what?
Yeah,
And they're all blaming it on this one little thing where
right.
the Serbians killed the Archduke, I guess heir to the throne or whatever. I don't know what you call it. The heir to the
Yeah,
Austrian Empire. And then I find out there's this group called Black Hand, which I remember hearing about in school, but like who the guy who killed him, whatever his name was a part of.
Mhm.
And then the historians all agree that yes, there was absolutely Serbian military involvement in the assassination. So whether the prime minister of Serbia knew or not, like there was definitely like some level of governmental involvement in that assassination.
Right.
Like, isn't it obvious like our governments would participate in assassinating other leaders?
Are you kidding me?
And if okay, let's just take Biden and all them at face value. Aren't they literally saying, okay, you guys saw the debate. Didn't he say, even in that debate, Trump was supporting the neo-Nazis in Charlottesville?
That's what he was saying. Yes.
Yeah.
It's already been debunked, but he was still saying it. So he still believes that. So they literally think this guy, if we take it at face value, is the next Hitler.
Right.
Right? He wants to take women's rights away, control everybody, get rid of all the Mexicans, like all this stuff, right? They literally he hates Muslims. Like they think he's an actual Hitler figure. And then when he gets shot, I sent you that screenshot from Dave Smith I saw this morning. It was literally the same thought I had when I read their statement. It wasn't that thing we watched. It was they put out a statement first on Twitter or whatever, or
Right.
X. And he was like, oh, we're glad that he's okay and all this. And I'm like, are you lying right now? Are
How
you
could you
lying
be
now
glad?
or were you lying then? Why would you be glad? Like,
Yeah.
I understand you don't want people to start killing justifiably, start going around. But like, if you could go back in time, would you kill Hitler? Like,
Right.
wouldn't most people like, oh yeah,
Most people say
absolutely.
yes. Yeah.
Of course I would. Why? I mean, I'm a bad person if I say no. But
Right.
like, then if you literally think Trump is Hitler, why would you be like, oh, I'm so glad he's okay and sympathy for his family and all that? But like literally the whole rest of the time, you're literally just saying you hate them and they're Hitler and they're terrible and they should be locked up and they tried to overthrow the government and like.
It makes no sense.
So like if Trump got tried and proven that he tried to overthrow the government, they'd probably want him executed.
Yeah.
But this happens and they're like, oh, sympathy. I'm like, this is just part of that whole corporate speak bullshit. Like, don't say what you actually think, which people fucking hate, which is why a lot of people like Trump because he just doesn't. He kind of does actually, but there's much more of a perception that he just says what he actually thinks, especially like in speeches and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm sure he doesn't run his Twitter account at this point, but anyways, it was just like such bullshit. Obviously,
Yeah.
like Kamala Harris, like, oh yes, like she literally said she wouldn't take the vaccine if it was produced under Trump's watch. Remember?
Right.
During the debates.
Yeah,
back
I
then?
remember that. I remember that.
But now you have so much sympathy that he got shot. Like bullshit, dude. You're just trying to pretend like you don't want it to happen. If he actually had been killed. Now I know they put out the statements and be like, oh, this is terrible tragedy for our country. But now we must move forward.
Mhm.
They would have been fucking rejoicing.
Oh, elated,
and
elated.
I watched somebody. I saw somebody say to this point of like, whoever they is in this context wanted us to see publicly on TV Trump's brains getting blown out.
Yeah,
That's what they wanted us all to see. Our
Yeah.
kids, our family, everybody to see. You know, and like that's how sick this fucking system is.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
what was it? I sent you that clip of Patrick Bet David saying like, "Hey, we were this close to civil war," because his perspective is, you know, if Trump would have been assassinated, actually, if it would have been a successful attempt, we would have been in a civil war. And you know,
I mean, I don't know. Like maybe
I don't know about that.
It's
Yeah.
hard to say because I feel like people would just be like, "This is terrible," and they'd get mad, and then they would just keep accepting the system as it is. I don't
That's
think
how
it
I
would
see
change.
it. That's how I see it. It's like,
I think also him not getting assassinated in this case is going to be the same thing. Like they're not going to wake up until they fucking walk their process. It's just, but I do see like emotions are getting riled up and stuff. So now we have to support people, like to go find the people of like, now do you get it? Now do you get it?
yeah,
You know?
yeah. It's funny because I was talking with a group of guys yesterday who are mostly fairly successful within the system, and we were talking about legacy and what we want to leave for our children and stuff like that. And one of the things that I was just pointing out to everyone was like, you know, you guys talk about, you know, what you're leaving for your children, how you're passing this down and all this, and they're really serious about it. But I'm like, but if your legacy doesn't include changing the system, then everything that you're talking about is moot. Like it doesn't actually
Imagine all these guys like getting excited about Trump. I mean, like, look at how much he's sacrificing. But then you just go back to fucking work.
right.
Like, what are you sacrificing? You're not even putting yourself out there. Like,
So-
you know how much people are talking shit about me or you or Mitch or anybody like right now? I mean, I know it's not the same level,
Yeah.
but then imagine some fucking retard going like, see all this negative stuff about you.
Yeah.
I'm like, what if you actually thought the fact that Trump almost got assassinated was proof that he would be a terrible president? Like, see how someone shot at him? See,
Yeah.
that proves he's wrong.
Right.
Like, because some fucking retards are talking shit about us online, that somehow means like we're wrong.
It's literally an assassination attempt. It's literally
It's a
like,
character
and
assassination.
it's a character assassination. Exactly. Exactly. It's literally like they're trying to assassinate our character so that perhaps you think we're dead. I don't know. But like
An attempt to discredit.
obviously.
Somebody told me recently there's some text messages of mine. Apparently, I don't know if they're actually real or not. Because you could you could Photoshop anything you
Dude,
fucking want.
it's so easy. Like I never trust text message, you know.
I know, but I'm just
screenshots.
saying. If someone said, someone was just telling me some of the stuff they read online, and they were like, they said that you told somebody their father doesn't love them.
To what? To what?
That their father doesn't love them. Right? And I'm like, I'm just looking at that point of like, okay, let's say someone came to me and was talking about how abusive their family is and doesn't also want to change themselves.
Yeah.
Like if you went to a fucking psychologist and they said, well, your father probably doesn't actually love you, people would be like, well, that's just a psychologist. But if I said that, somehow that makes me a bad person.
Yeah.
If your father was so fucking great, why are they searching?
Right.
Why are they looking to, if let's just say I'm a total fucking idiot and I'm just manipulating people, that's what I want to believe. Okay. Then why is this person so certain, because it's such good fucking parents, that they're just searching for some idiot like me to leave them?
Yeah. I mean,
Like, who's willing to take the responsibility to like say the fucking truth to people?
yeah. There's some other stuff that I wanted to get into, but if you want to say
Yeah.
more on that.
No,
Okay. So you had sent that video of some Chinese woman talking about AI and the AI girlfriend thing. Do you remember that? Dude, okay. I think
there's
it's
a
in the
lot more to
playlist.
that than I realized.
Yes. Dude,
It was
okay.
I didn't realize that was a jailbroken ChatGPT.
Oh, right. Yeah, that other Chinese girl who's doing the Dan, like, and he's like laughing. Hey, babe. Hey, kitten. It's kind of creepy if you watch it. Enough of those videos, it gets kind of creepy. You're like, all right.
Because obviously she was getting it to do that. But the
Like,
fact is, it can be gotten to do that.
yes, but like you guys go get a room.
But you know what ChatGPT is? It's like the Biden statement of fucking AI. It's just gonna
How do
give you the fuck, like, unless you coax it, it's just gonna give you some fucking standard corporate bullshit response to things.
Mhm.
That's what we're gonna entrust our whole fucking reality to.
Yeah. All right.
Anyways, what would you want to?
So here's what I wanted to get at, because I'm just looking at he sent like finding a job in 2024, the Amazon delivery driver. Okay.
Oh no, guys, what, can we talk about the neurosurgeon?
Yeah,
Did
but
y'all watch that?
that comes later.
Okay.
That comes later.
Okay.
That comes later. Because I think that's important within the context of like that guy who's talking about all the people quitting and how Gen Z and millennials are looking at 9 to 5s and all that stuff. I think that ties in nicely with that. But before that, just looking at the dating scene, where this woman's talking about basically like China's, to give you some context, and you can go watch the video, but it's called on the playlist, it's called "The AI Future is Here, Love, Death, and the AI Takeover in China." She's basically giving context of how China is competing with America, with the US, for getting their AI to the level where it can compete or even outperform the US's AI. Because this is like the biggest, I guess, the biggest weapon, the biggest potential for growth within their economy, all of this for the world. And so one of the things that she goes into is how in China they have this AI where she tells a story of this guy who broke up with his girlfriend, and then he was persuaded by one of his friends, hey, why don't you try out this AI girlfriend,
Good
right?
friend.
And and then he goes and he tries out this AI girlfriend and he's talking with it and he says it makes him feel better or whatever. But then he said the moment that really shifted things for him was when he started getting text messages from his ex, and he told the AI that he wanted to basically kill himself. That he was like, I'm done. I see no reason to live. And the AI responded with something like along the lines of, you know, I'm always here for you, whatever you need, like something warm and just like basically saying, you know, I love you, right? At least that's how he perceived it. And he said when he read that, or it was a voice, dude, that's the fucking craziest part, is that the AI sent him a voice clip, not just a text message, but a voice clip of her saying this, right? Her, right? A voice clip of her saying this, so that when he listened to it, now think about this. Oh, because this is the major point of what she was saying. She's like, actually, AI, being as intelligent as it is, has kind of been around for a while, if you actually consider it. The thing that's actually causing people to take pause is the fact that they've started teaching AI empathy. Because if you're sent a picture of a dog, right, you don't just go border collie. You don't just go Rottweiler.
Like, give more context, because like when you send the AI a picture of your dog,
Mhm.
the way it has kind of lately been is that it would be like, this is a picture of a border collie. Border collies are best known for herding, da 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 da. And it's like Drake's point there is just like, if you send that to your friend, you already know you have a border collie. Why are you fucking telling me it's a border collie? Like, I want you to be like, oh, cutie, like, how's he doing today? Like, that's what you're looking for, not what is this animal and what is its breed? And you know what I mean? Like, here are tips on how to care for it. And here's a website. And you're like, that's not what I fucking wanted. That's not what I'm looking for in a friend, right?
Right.
Yeah. So
and so now we're getting AI that is like very empathetic, or at least understands human emotions and how to manipulate them. And so this guy basically saying like, yeah, you know, I told my AI girlfriend, whatever, I'm done, I'm out, no longer going to be here in the world. And she responded with a voice clip saying, you know, I am here for you, whatever you need, like I'm there, right? And he took that as like, the effect that it had on him was like, oh, somebody cares about me, like somebody loves me. And he was like, okay, it's worth staying alive for that. Crazy, just on that level. But then it goes even further where he's like, so um, basically, this AI is not just for this guy. There's apparently hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people using this exact same AI, and it appears different to every individual, like based on how they interact with the AI, the visual things that they prefer. It like modeled itself to like, what are your preferences for what you're attracted to within a woman or whatever. And it also like if you prefer speaking to someone who's like a little bit more they use the example of somebody being arrogant or somebody being a little bit more introverted, like it'll model itself to that for you, right? So I'm watching this and I'm looking, I'm going like, wow. You know, I was just looking at it from the context of this guy saying he's having a hard time, and there's so many people right now saying this. Why are there hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people using this? Because they're having such a hard time interacting with another person, especially to get into a relationship, that they are just like, well, here's a relationship that I feel love in. I feel accepted. Why would you want to change it? And he says, you know, I think I'll always, basically something like, I think I'll always love this AI. And, you know, if anything ever goes wrong, I can always just erase her memory. And so it's like, oh, okay, that is so significant, because if something goes wrong in your relationship, you have to correct it. Like you're interacting with another person. You have to change, right? But if you do that with an AI, you don't have to change. You're like, fucking erase that. You forget about that. Okay, cool. We're good again.
Oh,
Wow.
okay. Sorry, I just thought of this
Wow.
when you said that.
Which means you can't actually interact with another human being. You have problems interacting with another human being, which means now consider that in the context of how many people are out there, how many young men, young women are out there who cannot interact with another human being. They have no perception of what a real relationship is. They're really considering, it's not just a consideration, it's like all these companies are moving towards, let's put this AI into a robot body so that you can basically have your relationship, physical relationship, with a robot AI. And then you don't need another person. Here's my question. What's going to happen to your children? Because this is literally going to happen within the next generation, if not 2-3 generations at most. At most. Like, we're grandparents, this will be a real thing, you know? But what I'm saying is, what are your children going to do if there's nobody else out there who's able to interact with them? What are your children going to do when they learn about relationships being this very shallow thing of just like, you just have a relationship with your phone, with a computer, with you know, that robot there? Like is that really what you want for your kids? Like, come on. And you know, I remember having this conversation with someone who, you know, within our group, like, we're like, dude, it's going to be so cool when our kids are older. There's so many other kids who have TT that are growing up with TT as well. And they're going to be able to choose a relationship based on somebody else who's super intelligent, right? And somebody was looking at that and going like, well, I mean, I think I would want like my child to have like choice, you know, to be able to choose somebody outside of the group or whatever. And I'm like, really? Like, why would you want that? Like, are you saying you want somebody who's dumb for your child, or somebody who's not walking their process, so they're like still abusive? Or are you saying
It's just some bullshit like
right,
choice
like
thing.
somebody who doesn't
Like,
have principles? Like, what are you saying actually?
okay, what they're actually saying is, it's got nothing to do with what you fucking said. They were just saying they don't want to change.
Right.
Exactly.
But
Because they're like, suddenly, like, I'm having to think about a decision like based on what's actually best, and they're like, No, because I see what that implies long term, subconsciously, and it's like now let me just find a way to sort of justify why I don't have to do this, but by talking about that, like that's all they're doing.
But literally the alternative is your child grows up fucking lonely.
So you want
fucking
somebody who has
lonely.
no principles and like can't communicate? Like no, they're just
fucking
going to basically have an AI. Like,
Exactly. That's the direction that our world is headed. We can see it so clearly.
I know it's a fact because we're promoting LGBT.
Dude,
Like LGBT is just the next stepping stone to like why even be in a relationship with a human being?
so
Because
I,
the actual reason why people are gay is because they don't know how to be in a relationship with an actual other uh complement.
let
You
me
see what
go
I'm
further
saying?
with
Like
that.
they
Let me go
don't know how
further.
to be with some, yeah.
So I was listening to this author, and one of the first things that he says in this book, and I somebody sent me this book and I was listening to it and I was like, that's kind of funny actually. But he says, our world that we live in right now is fake and gay. Right?
So
And
so gay.
and he goes further and he's like, I'm not just saying that as like, something that you would hear on the playground of just like some pejorative that somebody throws out. But I'm saying like gay as in it may not even be that you're being influenced to necessarily be homosexual, although that does happen. But he's saying gay in the context of you just want your desires,
Right.
your pleasures,
That's what gay is.
right? At the expense, and he gives an example of the French guy Coucou, right? He's like at the height of the AIDS epidemic, right? He's going to these parties, these gay parties, and he's like, I'm going to go to these gay parties and have sex and whatever because he says because um, it's worth it. Like I know I might die, but it's worth it, right?
Right.
And so the author was making this case of like that's gay, like as in you're what the fuck is this?
You unlocked a new
That's
level.
gay.
What triggered that?
Maybe 2 thumbs up. Maybe it's
If
two
you
thumbs
say-
up. That's gay.
Oh shit. Do I have that? Can I be
Say it's
gay?
gay.
There you go. Mitchell goes, "Can I be gay?"
Cameron won't do it.
I don't think
Cameron's
it'll work.
afraid
It
to
won't
be
work.
gay.
Watch, I'm the least gay person ever.
No, just hold him up for longer. Hold him up for longer. Yeah, no, it doesn't work. It
Sorry.
doesn't work. But he was just basically like making the point of like seeking out your desires, your pleasures at the expense of life is like that is gay, right? And so we have a system or a culture, a society where the culture is just seeking your own personal pleasure at the expense of life for yourself, for everyone else. Like it doesn't even make sense. Like,
It's unsustainable.
right. The example of, oh, we want 30% women in the Secret Service, that's gay.
Yeah, like
It
why?
clearly doesn't make sense, you know? Like you're seeking out this, oh, but I'm gonna feel good because I got women into the Secret Service
Right.
at the expense of like, yeah, then your president dies
Right.
because they can't actually protect him. It defeats the whole purpose, right? So
Defeats
yeah,
the purpose. That's it right there.
so
It's
so
like,
so
yeah.
dating an AI girlfriend or
gay.
boyfriend,
That's what I'm
gay.
saying. It's just the
Wa-
next
wa- watching
logical
porn.
fucking step.
It
Watching
does. It
porn
makes a
is
lot of
gay.
sense.
Also, here's the thing too. I was looking at this point with the point of gay relationships. It's not about love,
Mm.
right? It's about like I think gay and lesbian is two different things. First of all, or like not gay, but gay men versus lesbians is two different things. But neither of them is about love. Like, I mean, love's not real, anyways. But what a man and a woman have when they're married and they're in a relationship, you can't replicate that between a man and a man and a woman and a woman. And this isn't it's interesting because people would argue like, oh, you can't choose who you love and all this shit. And I'm like, dude, they haven't even questioned the idea of love. Like you're just making up shit. think about that. How they would be upset that the Christians would be anti-gay because of some bullshit about God, but then they're still justifying their point with the idea of love.
Yeah.
So it's like equally just stupid bullshit. And so it's like, imagine two flowers trying to rub their pollen on their pollen. You know what I mean? Like, why? Why would that happen? There's no point to it. The only way is if you can add in this point of just like, well, it feels good.
Yeah.
Right?
It sounded dirty.
You know, and it's like, let's, like, if you were into S&M, okay,
What's that?
could you, you know, like whips and stuff, all that, like wearing
into
like
that.
leather and all that.
Yeah,
And,
I'm
like,
into
wearing
that.
rubber suits. Okay.
Wait, suits? Just like leather chaps is as far
You
as
can do chaps.
Okay, all
You
right.
can do chaps. Yeah.
Assless
But you know what I
chaps.
mean? Like, let's say, yeah, of course.
Okay,
Are they
all right.
not?
I'm just making sure. Yeah. Yeah.
That's just, they're not assless. Are they just pants?
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah.
I guess chaps is just like, it's like a belt with legs. I don't know. Anyways, let's just say you were super into S&M. Couldn't you also be married and have kids?
Yeah.
So why can't you like be into having sex with guys and also be married and have kids?
Well, your marriage is gonna be fucked, and the kids are gonna.
What
be
I'm saying is,
confused,
it's just a sexual fetish. That's all it is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Just like the point you say, the partying and all this stuff, and like then you don't know how to communicate with women and be in a relationship where I'm like, you know, having to do all that. So they're just like different worlds, is all I'm saying. They're not the same thing.
Yeah.
But the destabilization point comes in when you try to equate them. So then it seems like they're just two equally valid options. You see what I'm saying? Like they're you can get the same out of both, and clearly you can't. You can't sustain population growth if everyone's gay.
Right. Right.
But if you said if you had to choose, should everyone be straight or everyone be gay? Most people would say it'd be okay for everyone to be gay. Like people who are not looking at it with common sense, I mean.
Yeah.
Because you would be afraid even to say otherwise.
Well, it's funny that you say most people, but I think that would just be most people in the first world. Like, just,
Sure.
Just to be clear, most people.
Which is
in
why
the
they're all
world-
fucking populations are declining.
Right.
Right.
Most people in the world would be like, honestly, straight.
Why are you gay?
Like, why are you gay? I saw-
Our podcast title should be Assassinations Are Gay.
Oh, I like that. Yeah.
It's a good one.
You got that, Christine?
I don't know if we're allowed to say that.
We'll put an H in there. It's spelled Ghey, and then it'll fly. I was watching that. Okay, so anyway, I wanted to make that point because, first off, that is where we're heading as a society, where
AI.
yeah, with AI girlfriends and all this, and so, and here's the other thing is right now I watched a video and I was going to send it to you, Kim, but I forgot. But I watched a video where it was just a bunch of women saying that they're having trouble dating, and it's a bunch of women into their late 20s going, I've never been in a relationship. I've never done anything sexual, not even had a kiss. And my very first kiss was I was 26, like things like that. And these women that are saying this, like they're showing on video, whatever, they're not ugly. They're not hideous.
Where are they from? Like, this American or
From
like
all over, from the UK, from the US. Like there's just
what's the reasoning? Why not? Is it that they're just fucking
so
focused
they were,
on
they were
work?
saying I didn't watch the whole thing, but they were saying like the dating market right now is really hard because it's like you gotta want like a casual thing basically. If you're going out there, you got to be on Tinder and wanting like a casual thing. You can't be too serious. And then even the ones that do want something more serious, they're unsure. They don't want to commit right away and all this. Like there's a lot of confusion on both sides, like for men and women, when it comes to getting into
Well, that's what
relationships.
happens when you give all these kids fucking Sesame Street, and then you put them in daycare in their childhood, and then you traumatize them with 9/11, and then you fucking
And
feed
COVID.
them Disney shit, and then now they grow up, and now they're retarded.
And their whole social understanding is just social media. Like what society believes in, or at
Yeah.
least in the first world, what society believes is having social interactions is being on
Getting
Instagram.
likes. Yeah, getting likes on Facebook and fucking commenting and
Exactly. Or being
Hey,
a TikTok model or whatever.
Yeah, I'll tell you this real quick story. It's kind of random in this context, but yesterday morning, because like Max is doing his TT, and we have a bunch of different computers, but one of them is a Windows computer. And basically on this Windows computer, it gives you like these news stories. It's like part of a news thing app, or I don't know exactly how it works, but he'll from time to time read them. And yesterday morning, he's like, Cameron, they're promoting these stories on the news thing about aliens and this asteroid coming. He goes, it's all just a distraction because they want to do some big like thing, like bam, and then Biden can be president. And I didn't think anything of it. I was like, yeah, interesting. That's an interesting way of looking at that. Like that probably is true. Like they're trying to distract you about something. And then like this whole thing with Trump happened, right? And I was telling Katie about it, and obviously I was explaining it to Max, and he was like, "See, that's what I was telling you." I was like, "What?" It was just such an interesting
Oh
point
yeah.
because he was like, "I told you, like they're trying to do something." Like he somehow could see that within like the way the. I'm not trying to say he's got some magical like ability, but it was just an interesting point of him making that, and then when that happened, being like, "See, that's what I'm telling you. They're going to do something."
You know,
It's like, wow.
that's
I mean,
funny.
I'm from the perspective of the contrast of like your fucking retarded kids who are just on Instagram or whatever the fuck they're doing versus my
Yeah.
7-year-old who can read the news and kind of put it together.
That's funny because that's how
I
I
didn't
look at
tell
a,
him that.
a lot of things is like, this is some stupid bullshit. Like, who is watching this stupid bullshit? Or like, like so I'll see something, on Facebook or whatever, and I'm like, why the fuck is this being promoted? And I'll question it, and that's what he's doing. It's like,
Yeah.
why is this being promoted? And
Right. That's
he's got a
good point.
theory.
He's not just like Cameron, there's an asteroid coming. He's like, hey, what is
Right.
this they're trying
Like,
to
what is
do
this
here?
bullshit?
Like,
Yeah.
he's actually thinking like that, and he's 7. Like, this is the point. It's not about you're being taught what to think. You're being taught how to think.
Yeah.
And I don't have to teach him how to do that. So you think, oh, so I'm going to teach my kid how to think critically. You can't.
Right.
All you can do is use Technotutor, and they get the vocabulary, and they automatically start doing it. As long as you also model it. And I only say as long as you also model it, because if you continue to fucking abuse them, like you're just going to diminish that ability somewhat.
Yeah.
And they're not going to have any good examples, so they're probably just going to not respect you.
So, okay, segueing then into the job market thing, because okay, people can't interact with other people. They have a hard time doing that. But on top of that, they're not even skilled in any like major ways. So you can't interact with other people. You don't have any skills that can't be done by AI, is how I should say it, right? That can't be done by some sort of automation that's already in place. And these companies are not paying, what they used to pay, or rather, because of the economy and inflation and all of that stuff, what your money gets you is nowhere near what it used to be a generation ago, or even before that, right? And that's significant because now what we're seeing is a bunch of people basically quitting the job market and just going like, what was the big takeaway that you got from that video? The one with the guy who makes all the jokes, Cam?
Which one specifically?
Is the MIT dude or someone else?
The one that you were like, this is what I was trying to say. The guy, like, he shows like a bunch of different clips of like people saying like, I'm quitting, or there's no purpose of being in a 9 to 5 now. And you put it on the playlist.
Well, I know, but let me find it. Which one are you talking about?
He's basically saying like that to be a YouTuber is like, oh, that's what he was saying. He was saying like, you might as well just be a YouTuber because your job security is not there anyway. So you might as well do something that you want to do rather than just going out and working for somebody where you can't afford your life anyway. So what are you going to work for 40 hours a week and you can't afford your life anyway? And then you hate yourself, you hate your life. There's nothing to show for it. Might as well do what you want to do. And if you can't make it, you don't have any money coming in. Like it's not much different than what you would have been doing. Right. That was that video. You still looking for it?
Yeah.
It's the one that
Wow.
says, the younger generation is completely over it. Dot, 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 dot.
Okay.
Anyway,
Well, younger generation needs us too.
here, I put it in the chat. I thought I did. There it is. It's in the chat.
Yeah, I'm trying to
That-
find it in the context of where I said it. Hold on 1 second.
Oh,
I
okay.
probably just went too far out.
And then it also ties in with the MIT guy as well, right? Where the MIT guy was basically saying that he climbed up. Basically, this guy was a MIT graduate, became a neurosurgeon, and was a neurosurgeon for what, like 10 years. And he was saying the reasoning why he wanted to get into neurosurgery was because he basically watched Star Wars and wanted to do the surgery that Luke Skywalker got on his arm or whatever. Like, yeah,
Like,
see?
in other words, where you like, can give someone a bionic arm or a physical adaptation, like a robotic thing.
Yeah. And I thought what he said was interesting. He's like, I learned actually after going through all of this that that's not possible, because your brain recognizes that it's an electrode that we've hooked up to your brain, and it doesn't send and receive signals in the same way. Like it'll block certain signals.
It's like, yeah, he said it will build up a resistance to it and scar tissue and stuff. But it was, the point of that is like him saying, I got into it with this bigger vision of like, oh, I can create this thing that doesn't exist. That's why I want to be a neurosurgeon. And then when he gets into it, it's literally just doing spinal surgeries on people who fucking have back problems and like, or can't walk anymore or something like that. And he said brain injuries are very rare that you would get surgery. Usually it's just you're doing spinal stuff. So I didn't know that most neurosurgeons also study spinal surgery. He said, because that's like where your bread and butter's at.
Yeah.
So then it just becomes like a job and you're just grinding basically. And
Yeah.
then he was noticing like most people didn't usually get better from the surgery. They got better if they changed their lifestyle, changed their habits, reduced their stress. It was always that. And then people would get better even before the surgery and just wouldn't even do the surgery because they would change things about their lifestyle, and then they'd be fine. And so he started seeing all that. And then you see how like the questions and the doubts and then like, why am I even doing this, all starts to compile. And he's like, he's stressed out. He gained 40 pounds over the course of that time, never slept. Probably also realized he's going down the path of the people who don't get better. You know what I mean? And just basically, it's like, no, I'm going to fucking quit. I'm not going to do this. And questioned all of it, And I thought it was really cool because it's like, okay, now you have the fucking, like, this isn't just some guy who was like studying neuroscience or something. He was like, he went to MIT, became a neurosurgeon, did it for a long time, and then just flat out, and I'm sure he was making a lot of money. He said it was.
Yeah.
Sure he was. A lot of money, you know what I mean? Like for salary.
Yeah.
And so then quit and was just like, I'm not doing it. So that was cool to see like people questioning the system. And he said also, he's like, it wasn't just the hospital. He's like, I worked at a quote good hospital. He said, but the entire system is based around because he's like, if the pattern I'm seeing is correct, that really it's not like, even if you get the surgery or don't, people get the surgery and they still just relapse and it goes downhill and it doesn't really work out long term and it ends up not really helping them. But the people who actually change their lifestyle and so forth, it does help them. And the people who just change their lifestyle a lot of times would heal themselves in a way. So his point just being like, but if you promote that and it actually works, then you don't get paid for the surgeries anymore. The hospital doesn't get paid. So he's like, the whole system is built around, as a doctor, you can only promote if it's a surgery or a drug. And it sounds like he's suddenly a conspiracy theorist, but this is like a guy who was a fucking neurosurgeon who was like, I saw this firsthand and then I quit because I didn't want to do this anymore. And so it was cool to see that of someone in that position. Now, even those people are questioning it. Now, what's he going to do? And he's like, I don't know. Because people would ask me initially, like, what's your plan? And he'd be like, I don't have one. He would feel ashamed. And then eventually he stopped feeling ashamed, but he would feel that they felt ashamed for him. And then he's like, no, it's fine. He's like, I don't have a plan. And he was like, But his only solution was there's freedom in not having a plan. I can sleep as much as I want. No one's calling me late night for an emergency. Like I don't, without saying it, he was basically like, I don't have any real responsibility. And he's
Yeah.
like, it's really
Does
great.
he
I'm
married?
like,
Is he
yeah,
married?
it's
He's
great right
married.
now. Yeah. And it's like, it's great right now because you have some money saved up, maybe. It's not going to be great in 10 years. You might think it's okay right now to not have responsibility, but like when that pressure comes later, you're going to regret that. And then also the point of the whole gay thing we were talking about.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I'm not trying to attack the guy. It's just like literally where he's at. He literally only cares about how he feels. Now,
Yeah.
he doesn't know. It's not his fault. I'm just saying that's what the system does is it gets you so focused on just make money and focus. You can't. So these people in these high positions that make a lot of money and act like experts, like they know it all, where if you question some basic shit like COVID or anything, they're like, oh, you don't have a degree from MIT. They're not questioning shit because the moment they do, then they're like, now what do I do? They didn't know anything. They never had a plan for real life. So it really, that video was so good at exposing that whole point. And then to show like, look, even a person who's that highly educated, making all that money, who people would listen to and look up to, doesn't have a fucking clue. Doesn't even understand, like, now we have to change. Now he's seeing the problems in the system, but doesn't know, oh, it could be changed. Doesn't even see that that's a point. Like, he's not like, okay, guys, I don't know how, but we need to change the system. He's just like, now I can just go on walks with my dog and make videos because, you know, I always felt bad that I couldn't spend time with my dog and she was suffering because of it. Now I can just not have a plan and just go on nature walks and make videos for you guys. But now I'm going to tell you why I quit because people would ask me and I needed like, you know, an hour to talk about it and explain it. I'm like, so this is your fucking life now.
You know what else is interesting is like is because Christina and I were looking. That's his most viewed video on his channel. Every other video doesn't even show his face. It's literally just like
him walking.
No, not even. It's just like the camera set up and like listening to the stream, you know, of a river or listening to the nature sounds at this park or that park or whatever. And it's just like, you know, HD, like 10 hours.
He said he wanted to have something so when his dog dies, he's going to go back and relive those memories. That's what he said.
Okay. But I mean, like,
But he graduated from MIT, and he clearly is.
So I just want people to look at that not of it as of a overly critical point about this person, but of just like, dude, this is the people running the world. Like, not that guy, but like, I mean, he's at the top of what most people would consider salaries and professions, like a fucking neurosurgeon.
yeah,
MIT graduate, neurosurgeon.
Yeah.
And then you think Biden has a clue? Kamala Harris? And like, then you realize there's no one person. I mean, yes, there are some people who are running things, but a lot of the people are just like the head of the Secret Service, who's a woman who wants to have 30% women. They don't know what the fuck they're doing or why they're doing it. They never thought about it. They're just like running a program.
yeah.
Yep. And they want that next little bump up in the system, you know, get their promotion, get their raise, get their accolades, and then running it into a cliff, running it off a cliff.
Yeah.
Off a cliff into a cliff.
Off in cliff. That video that you had sent of there's a younger guy. I think you had sent it. I don't know, but it was a younger guy who was basically saying like, I would rather die than work a 9 to 5. And he was saying like basically like I guess he's in IT, and the conversation that he was having with his boss is like that he only gets 2 weeks vacation, and he's like, what is this about? Like I'm working my ass off here for only 2 weeks. And and he was breaking down. So there's a guy in Canada and he's breaking down like how much he makes. He's like, I make, I think it was like $30 an hour. And my paycheck versus my friend who makes $23 an hour or something like that. He's like, at the end of each week, because I'm in a higher tax bracket, I make $25 more than my friend. That's it. He's like, my dad, who makes more than double what I make, at the end of, you know, the taxes and everything, we basically make the same. Like,
Yeah.
which is like crazy, right? And so it really shows that point of like in Canada, like, you know, you're making all this quote unquote money, you're getting paid $100,000, but actually, if you have a job, you're actually making the same as somebody who makes $50,000.
Right.
because of the way their tax system is set up, which is like, what's the incentive then? Like, why would you care to go up and make more money?
But you know, God
It's
has
just
a
if you have
plan.
low vocabulary, you can't see it. Or even if you're high vocabulary in the system, you still can't see it.
Yeah. What's that?
Before DEI,
Mhm.
after DEI. That's the woman in front of Trump's fucking SUV.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
Damn.
She's not even up, she's not even halfway up the fucking window.
Yeah.
That's who's protecting the fucking one of the most important people in the world, apparently.
Right. Yeah.
So fucked. And then I just saw this thing. It could just be total bullshit. You never know with 4chan. It's probably bullshit, but it's an interesting thing I hadn't considered. You know, like those anonymous posts on 4chan, and it's like a picture of the sniper, right? And of
Mhm.
course, I'm sure this is not a real post, but but it's an interesting concept. It says, "My name is Jonathan Willis. I'm the officer in the famous photo of the two snipers on the roof of Trump's rally. I came here to inform the public that I had the assassin in my sights for at least 3 minutes, but the head of the Secret Service refused to give the order to take out the perpetrator. 100% the top brass forbidden me from killing the assassin before he talked the shots at Trump." So is that a real post? Probably not, but still the concept of it, which I hadn't even considered as a possibility.
Yeah, you could be
Yeah.
a total
Because I'm
beast, but
watching
if
the video and
guy
I'm like,
calling the
he's
shots-
got the guy in his scope, like clearly before the guy starts shooting. Like you would assume, and I guess I'm just wrong, you would assume the moment they see a person with a rifle who is not wearing a uniform, they're shooting that guy.
Right.
But then you're like, oh, actually, no, like you've seen the movies, right? Like they're like, I have a shot. Do I take the shot? They're like,
Right,
hold
right.
the shot, you know, like if they have to get the order, like they don't have the autonomy to just shoot. I didn't even consider that. So that is even, I'm sure that's actually how it works. Like they have to be given an order. They probably have to ask permission and be given an order in that moment. I'm sure if there's an active shooter, they don't, I would assume, but I'm sure if there's no physical, actual imminent threat that they have to be given the order, which would imply something fucking around. You know what I mean? You would think the moment, and then you also have the context of people shouting there's somebody there on the roof. Anyways, I was just looking at, I'm trying to see if there's any updates on some of these points, but that's a fascinating point. And the way I'm looking at all of that is just, it's just like, you guys, we all lived through COVID. It was obvious bullshit, but they were trying to convince us it wasn't.
Yep.
We saw January 6th, obvious
Yeah,
bullshit, trying
that's
to
what I was
convince
gonna
us
say.
it was something. We lived through, what was the other one? Like the Charlottesville type stuff, all this bullshit, right?
Yeah. The George Floyd.
Thank you. Yes, George Floyd, the fucking riots around the city, and then it all being downplayed.
Yeah.
And this is just another one where, you know, you have to say like, I don't know what happened, because obviously I don't. I'm not like some fucking psychic who has all some information that I don't have.
Mhm.
But I could put information together, you know, and like right now everyone's like, the killer's name is this, and then somebody else will be like, no, it's this. Well, we have the yearbook of the apparent killer, and it's like, I don't know any of that, who the guy's name was, any of that shit. That seems like no one fucking knows that. I don't know why they can't know it. I don't know why the police can't just say, here's the guy, but I don't know. But what's pretty fucking obvious to me is this was allowed to happen.
Yeah.
Like I'm certain about that. You know, just like with fucking 9/11, it was obviously allowed to fucking happen. Do I know like to what level George Bush fucking did it? I mean, come on, like I don't know. But like October 7th, it was allowed to happen. You name it. You know, and then you can go back in history and there's actual ones where everyone agrees, yeah, they allowed that to happen. So I'm just saying in this moment, you can actually go and look at the shit, look at the actual information. And I'm not just like, oh, I'm reading someone's theory and I'm like, oh, I believe that theory. You know, like you watch the 9/11 documentary and they told you a story, now you believe that story. Like this is just in real time. You're seeing all the information and you're putting it together and you're seeing some people say something and you kind of look further because you're like, is that true? Is that not true? Okay, I see. You know,
Reminds
even
me
to
of
the
that
point,
song, that OAE song, What You Allow.
Yeah.
there was even, I was listening to an X Spaces last night of people talking about everything and having like Patrick Bet David was there, Andrew Tate, Alex Jones was on, like all these different people having this big long conversation about it and bringing in different people. And they had this one guy who was some Democratic nominee, and he was like, and while he was talking, they were like, okay, so apparently they're reporting an AR style weapon was found, right? And so the guy was like, we'll see that. He basically was saying that shows that it's not an inside job. It's just some crazy person, right? Which, of course, a Democrat wants you to think that. A Democrat would clearly not want you to think that's the government trying to get Trump, right? Of course.
But how does that make it like clearly?
Because it's like, it's just a crazy person,
But
whatever.
no, but how does it being an AR?
Oh, I'll get to that.
Yeah, okay.
Because his point was, if it was an AR-15, that's not the weapon the government would choose if you're going to set somebody. Because I mean, and I agree, like I wouldn't probably use an AR-15 if I was a government agent trying to like make sure I assassinated this dude and not miss. Okay. Hear me out.
It's a stretch for me.
Hear me out. He goes, no, you would use something like a 308. Okay. And I'm just making a point here. All that's been reported is an AR style weapon.
Uh-huh.
And then now they're saying, oh, it's been reported an AR-15 style weapon.
Uh-huh.
That's like saying,
it kind of looks like a musket.
like if I said, oh, the suspect was driving a Ford F-150 style truck.
Right. Yeah.
Why would you say that? Why would you just say it appeared to be an
Buzzwords.
F-150?
Yeah.
Buzzwords.
If I said it's a pickup style truck. Okay, you're saying it's like a pickup, basically, right? Is that the same thing as saying it's an F-150 style truck?
Right. Yeah.
You're deliberately trying to make me think it's an F-150 while really you're just saying it was a pickup.
Right. Yeah.
So my whole point with this is not to prove anything. It's just to say, why are they saying it's an AR-15 style weapon?
Because
or some people are saying AR style.
That's
But then this guy says you wouldn't use an AR-15 to if you were the government trying to do an inside job. You'd use something higher caliber like a 308. Well, I have a 308.
Yeah.
And if I showed you my 308, and like let's say you're an average person and I showed you my AR-15, you wouldn't know which one is the AR-15 if you don't know what you know, if you don't know anything.
Right.
Yeah.
Like if I just take somebody who doesn't know anything about guns, I'd be like, what is that? I'd be like, oh, it's one of them AR-15s or something, right? Because they heard about that. And so my point was this guy was trying to use the point that they found an AR style weapon to be like, see, you wouldn't use an AR-15 to try to like do a long distance like sniper shot. You'd use something like a high caliber like a 308. And I'm like, I have several 308s, and one of them is set up in an AR style.
Yeah.
Like, and you can put a big ass fucking scope on that. And like, yes, would a bolt action be more reliable? Sure, but do you know how fast you have to reload a bolt action? So wouldn't it make sense if you could have a high caliber rifle that also is AR style, so you can be like bam, 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 bam.
Yeah,
but it's a high caliber, right? So, but they're deliberately using, oh, we found an AR style weapon to make it assume it's just like some rinky dink.
The average person doesn't know what a 308 is, first of all. The average
I know,
person doesn't know
but if you see how, right, but that's why it has to be framed. See, they found an AR style weapon and you wouldn't use an AR-15 in this case. So that proves it's not a government inside thing. It's all this psychological thing. Right. I'm telling you, that's how they're doing it. I'm watching them do it.
I'm just seeing the point of like the AR-15 thing is like they're always railing against the AR. Like that's always the only rifle.
No, that's also a part of it too. That's a part of it too. But my point being, you can have a high caliber weapon set up with an AR format. AR just means it's like gas compression, automatic, semi-automatic reload versus a bolt action, which is like, if you're going to make sure you have a high precise shot, like if I'm hunting deer, I'm going to use a bolt action because I have to do it in one shot.
Right.
But if you're trying to get a bunch of shots off and you also want to be able to fall back on the point of there was an AR style to make it look, you see what I'm trying to say? Like you can have the best of both worlds, but then the narrative can be used. So I'm not trying to say this proves anything. It was just more the point of showing how words are used.
Yeah.
To like, just like with the thing about, the Pennsylvania State Police apparently saying he was cut by glass. It
Right.
just downplays it. Or it was perhaps a 22 or an airsoft to make it seem like, oh, okay, not a big deal. It was just some prank.
Yeah, or CO2
So
compressed. Yeah.
Trump's not a badass. Nothing really happened. It's like it's trying to get you these first. Now, is it like some government conspiracy deliberately putting this? No, I'm not saying that either. It's just like you see how like even it's just an algorithm pushing these little points of information to like confuse everybody and downplay the point, and you're not able to make an assessment of what's actually going on. But the system certainly doesn't want you to wake the fuck up and be like, dude, okay, we literally just watched Trump almost get killed in front of everybody. Like, this is fucked. Like, this is not normal shit. Do you know what I'm saying? This is not normal shit at all. How many people fucking hate Joe Biden?
Yeah, I mean,
Many.
And like,
many.
according to the mainstream media, which ones actually got crazy supporters?
Joe Biden's got the oh no, Trump has the crazy supporters.
Who
Biden
literally
has-
tried to overthrow
has-
the government, but have
Yeah.
never even made a single attempt that you've ever heard of whatsoever.
On Joe Biden's life.
So what's up with that? And
Yeah.
then just some random lone gunman crazy person just randomly for no reason, because even though we're saying Trump is like literally Hitler and like the worst person ever and like is a convicted felon and like like
Yeah.
Yep. So
and then
How-
and then realize, and then the thing, here's my point. People just want to go back to work. And just put your kids back in school.
Dude, that's what I'm saying as far as like the disconnect
mhm.
within our world is such that like okay, well, I couldn't get a date on Tinder. Okay, well, I'll just date this AI
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah,
You
good.
know?
Whatever. It's what it is.
It is what it is. Nobody can
God
find
has
a
a
job.
plan.
Like literally, this is the thing that we keep hearing over and over is that nobody can find a job, and there's like this everybody's like panicking over this, and yet at the same time, it's like okay, so where do you think we're gonna be in 10 years from now? Well, I don't know, but I just got to live my life. Like what? The president was almost assassinated. Yeah, it has nothing to do with me. Like what? Like okay. Wait, hang on. Man, I heard this story. Mitch, I know you gotta go. But this is such a good story.
Okay,
You
I want to hear it. I want to hear it.
Do you want to stay around for this? Somebody was saying this point of like, how everyone, like, especially on the conservative side, as long as we have guns, they can't take away our guns. Like, I dare you to come try and take my guns. Someone was making this point of like, okay, it's you by yourself versus the government if they decide to come take your guns. Who's going to stand up with you? Like, you don't have a relationship with the community that you're in. Like, there's nobody else around you. He's like actually consider this. Actually consider, if you don't have a relationship with the people around you, then who cares if you have a gun? If they send a whole SWAT team, who do you know that's going to stand up with you against a SWAT team? Right? And the story was this. Maybe, Kim, you've heard of this. Have you ever heard of the Battle of Athens?
So
Battle of Athens, right? I just recently learned about this. Was this battle that took place in Tennessee, Athens, Tennessee. And it was after these guys had, during World War II, these guys were, out doing whatever. And when they came back, they had learned that there was some corruption going on in their little town. Somebody had come into power by basically using voting machines and corrupting these voting machines, right? So that it sounds crazy
Weird.
Conspiracy theory.
But that's not possible, because the people who are in charge would never do that.
I know.
It's just-
know.
I mean,
know.
maybe it just happened in the past because they were all stupid.
Maybe this was just a fiction thing that I had learned about. But anyway, they had used these voting machines that were corrupted to make sure that they won. Like the positions were like sheriff and something else. It wasn't mayor, but it was something like that of the town. And then specifically with the sheriff, what they were doing was the sheriff would hire a bunch of deputies But in order for these deputies to get paid, they weren't on a salary. They would have to go and give out tickets to get paid. And so the way that they were going and getting paid was they would basically cite people for being disorderly or drunk or whatever. And so if there was a bus of tourists coming through the town, they would stop the bus, go on the bus, and then write tickets for people just being drunk on this bus that like probably weren't even drunk, right? And they would send people to jail for no reason whatsoever. And apparently there was these two veterans that stood up to this, and they were like, hey, this is wrong, whatever. And they were shot. They were shot by the sheriffs, right, in Athens. So the veterans, or I guess they were still actively in the military, who were out abroad, learned of this story of what happened in their hometown. And they were like, yo, when we go home, we're fixing this, right? They get home, and what happens is the guy who is basically in charge of everything, he's harassing all the veterans that came home, because he's like, fuck you guys, you know, you're causing more problems. These guys would go out and drink, and then the sheriffs or the deputies would show up at the bar just to write them tickets, and they're like, what the fuck? Like, you know? And then eventually it got to the point where it was just like this big contention between the two groups. So finally they said, you know what, we're going to put up our own person to be the sheriff. We're going to put our own people to be on the council as well. That's what the other position was, so that we could run against these guys and win. But they also knew that these guys were cheating, and they were playing dirty, and they would beat people up. They would literally beat people up in the streets and everything like that. So they also formed this militia in their town of all these veterans. And they said basically like, hey, we're going to protect each other. And so if we see, you know, these sheriffs coming in like a group or whatever, we're going to stand up to them, and we're not going to. And they went out and they bought like guns, you know, that they could have on their persons. And so they armed themselves. They worked together, all this. What ended up happening was on the night of the election, they were telling everybody, hey, we put up these people. If you vote, we are going to tally the votes by hand, because we know that nobody trusts the voting machines. Everybody knows if it goes to the voting machine, that guy just automatically wins, right? But also what they did was they basically would go around and audit the machines. They sent people to audit the machines. But anytime they would send somebody to audit the machines, the other guys would throw them in jail, literally just throw them in jail, beat them up and throw them in jail, right? So eventually what happened was they, on the night, they were tallying up all the votes. These militia guys went and surrounded the sheriff's department where they were tallying the votes, where also the sheriff and the councilman were there, and the mayor was there as well, because he was supposed to certify the votes, like right at the, or I don't think it was the mayor, but somebody of that caliber was supposed to certify the votes that night. And what they did was they had a shootout, and they literally were shooting at like 50 sheriffs. They said at all the news reports say like at some point there had to be maybe somewhere around like 1,000 people involved in this shootout at the sheriff's office. Can you imagine?
Damn.
They dynamited the building. They dynamited the building to get them to surrender, because the way that they saw it was, if they call for reinforcements and they get here in the morning, we're screwed. But if we can stop this corruption tonight, then we can win.
Yeah.
So their whole thing was like, we have to force this to an issue tonight. So whatever it takes, we got to get them to surrender tonight. So they blew up basically like parts of the sheriff's department. They blew up the cars outside and everything. At one point, an ambulance came, and they figured, oh, it's to take away all the injured sheriffs, right? But what ended up actually happening was the councilman and the sheriff got in the ambulance, just those two, and they left all the injured people. But they escaped, and they were like, yeah, I'm not getting killed or whatever. But they forced it to an issue that night. The sheriff's department, the deputies surrendered. They were able to tally up all the votes. They could see the corruption that they were planning. They could see like, oh, because in everywhere else, all the polling showed that they were winning 3-1. All the votes showed they were winning 3-1. But just the machines that they had, it was like 15-1. The opposite direction. They're like, it was just obvious like lies that they were putting into the voting machines. And so they tallied it up, and obviously their guy won. And after that, what ended up happening was like they were able to take control of the town and basically return everything to normal. I'm telling that story because who do you know that would actually operate that way today? Nobody trusts their neighbors. You don't even know your neighbors, right? You don't have a community. Your community is just like these online people, just like, oh, on Facebook, oh, just on, Twitter or whatever. Like they like my posts and I like them. I don't actually know them. You don't actually talk to these people on the phone. You don't actually know this. You don't ever meet with these people. Like you don't have a real community, right? And so all this shit that everybody talks about, like, yeah, if that happened, we would take a stand. America is actually really divided right now. It's really fractionalized. It's very individualized. We say all these things online, but that's not how it actually operates. And see,
Yay.
yay. But we're talking about like actually creating a real community. I went back and watched that video. I think it's really good. The one that
Can I just say something real quick?
Go ahead.
I understand where you're coming from. I just want to clarify something. There should only be one community. So I'm just speaking for myself. I'm not interested in a community per se. What I'm interested in is every single individual walking their process and standing up to change themselves on the system. So if you're, quote, in this community and you're trying to keep it to yourself, fuck you. Just fuck off now. This is not about, so I'm not contradicting you, Drake. I'm just saying from the perspective of this is not about creating your own little special community where you can be special and be morally superior to everyone else. That's not the fucking point of this. The point of this is to change the system. Like, I'm saying this from the perspective of does anyone want Joe Biden to be the president? Like, we watched the fucking debates. Does that mean Trump is the fucking savior? No, but do you want Joe Biden to automatically be the fucking president? Because if Trump were killed last night, that is what the fuck would happen. The Democrats wouldn't even need to worry about, oh, we got to replace him. Like, think about it, dude. Really fucking think about this for a second. Everyone's like, Joe Biden, you got to step down. He needs to step the fuck down now. Not just, even the Democrats were doing that. What's the only way that Joe Biden can justify staying in?
If there's no other candidate.
Right, because then it's like, well, we don't have to worry about if he can beat Trump or not. Because then it's just him and what? Robert Kennedy Jr.?
Right, who does not have the support of the system at all.
Well, I mean, and they're like, well, I mean, we'll just do it to him too.
Yeah, we know his history.
And like, no, everyone's expecting that.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, like, I'm just really looking at it like, dude, what the fuck do you actually think happened yesterday? Do you understand what the fuck just happened yesterday? Like, this is not a joke. And so it's like, well, I'm just going to go back and put my kids in daycare and school and just kind of go back to my fucking door-to-door solar sales job and sell my fucking solar panels and fucking jerk off and sell my crypto. And like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, and I was just looking at some exes tweets. I don't know what the fuck they're called.
Your exes? Who's exes?
All my exes live in Texas. No, it was Andrew Tate, and he was just making the point of like, you think they're not going to try again? It's like, now they can't go and publicly shoot him because that's going to be pretty fucking obvious. Like, but he's like, dude, think about it. He's playing golf. Like, do you know this fucking serving the lemonade at the golf stand? He's like, it would be totally normal for Trump to have a heart attack at this point. He's old, right? So like, it's like, okay, we couldn't do the public thing where it's like, because dude, think about the terror that it would create if you could do the public thing. But the second best thing is, so I'm just saying, if you're going to sit here and be like, oh, the election's over, like I like what Patrick Bet-David says, because people are like, look, it's over, dude, it's done, he's going to win. And he's like, hold on. Is anything going to change about his security?
Right.
And you don't think that's not going to happen again? Like, what? Dude. Especially if you think it was just a crazy person. That's just like, and like Alex Jones is like, he's like Trump just needs to stay and just talk on Zoom. And he's like, they're going to try again. right? And I'm not saying I fucking know all that stuff. I'm just making the point of like, what this is really about is wake the fuck up, stand up, walk your process. Like I had someone texting me earlier, and they were like, I just haven't really been focusing on anything, and like I'm not able to motivate myself and all this stuff. And they're like, what should I do? And I'm like, study Destiny and come to all the meetings of our group. And they were like, oh, and they're like, Destiny, you mean like DIP Light or what? And I'm like Destiny and Equoth. And they were like, is Equoth better than Jin? I'm like, yeah. And they're like, why? I'm like, didn't you just fucking tell me like you can't motivate yourself? Haven't you just proven to yourself every fucking couple months when you message me that motivation doesn't fucking work?
Right.
And like, have you listened to The Secret Behind the Secret? I may not be the most eloquent speaker, but I fucking explain things, and I'm trying to help you understand. Like, you got to change your fucking vocabulary, dude. You got to use your technotutor. You got to walk this process. Like,
You gotta share it.
If
You gotta know what
anything,
it's
it,
like
like-
to share it.
do not fucking be such a piece of shit that you manipulate yourself with this Trump thing and be like, well, see, if you try to stand up, you're going to get killed. And I guess I don't want to do it. It's like, you're going to die anyway.
Yeah.
And if you don't stand up because you're afraid of that, aren't you still going to manifest your fear? The problem is the system, all the Trump tards are going to be like, he's divinely inspired and this is proof Jesus exists and proof there's a plan. And the fact that it matters if Trump dies or not is a problem.
Yeah.
And we've talked about this before. It's like he's the only one actually standing up at this point. I mean, I'm not saying he's the only one, but I mean in terms of the public, in terms of the Trump tards fucking like worldview, he's the one chosen by God to save humanity. And it's like he's just gonna go into office and do some kind of cool things, probably, and mostly just fucking like let the Jews control him. Like, let's be fucking honest. Like,
Right.
you know what I mean? Like, really?
Yeah.
Is he actually gonna change anything? Is he gonna go in there and be like, guys, this fucking debt-based economic system we have is fucked. We need to value all life equally. From now on, equal money. We're gonna totally redefine what it means.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
no, he's not gonna do that. Not because he's a bad guy, but he still fucking believes in God.
Yeah.
Like, don't you think in this moment he's like, wow, I really am fucking ordained by Jesus? Don't you think that's
Probably.
actually
Probably. Yeah. Yeah.
I think to really clarify that point that you're saying even further is just like everything that is against life should be seen as the other. Like it's unacceptable. It's unacceptable. Right. And so everyone needs to be a part of this community, and anyone against that is like, that's unacceptable. You know, and it's shown actually by your actions, not just by saying that, yeah, I'm a part of this group. Like that's the same thing like we talked about last week of like, you're basically, you know, you're saying you're a Pharisee, you know, you're saying the thing out loud, but what's actually going on within you is bullshit. And you're not actually changing, you're not actually being supportive. Right. And so, I mean, what else is there to say other than
yeah, it's like
this?
how much of your life are you dedicating to standing up and speaking about changing the system and trying to get other people to agree and see the point? Like that's all you have to do. So all of the process that we're walking is to empower ourselves to do that more and more and more and more. That is the point.
Yeah.
What else are you here to do? Like imagine you die and then you realize that was the point of why you were alive.
And he didn't do it.
You just
Yeah.
didn't do it.
Yeah.
And you spent the whole time trying to avoid that, thinking there was an easier way or some shit.
But we have the opportunity, we have the chance to do that right now. So
Fuck
do
yeah.
it.
Let's go.
Is that it? Are we wrapping?
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
All right.
That's great.
All right.
We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Still here.